Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Imperial Scholars Podcast. My name is Mitch. My co-host is the Rad Dude. And today, I'm actually not going to be taking the lead on this one. This one's going to be going all to you, sir. So, by all means, introduce yourself and introduce us to what we're taking on here. What is the task of the day? You got me excited for the subject, so I'm here to learn and take notes.
Greetings, everyone. I am the Raw Dude, and thank you for this honor, Mitch, that today I shall be hosting today's session, and the topic of today shall be about the Chaos Dwarves in the Warhammer Fantasy setting.
DWARFS ZHARR! I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I know about these little bastards is what I've played of Total War.
Right. And I'm sure you have some burning questions about like what exactly all of that means, or what their units are like, or their origins especially, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the origin is one that's like, because it's interesting of like what I know is being very limited of like, yes, there's tales of old and this and that. No one really knows, blah, blah, blah. And I'm curious if that's sort of all that we got, or if we're going to expand a bit more on that. Because I know the very basic level of like, yes, shoot, the ball, and that's about it.
Right. So, in order to begin, let's talk about the actual dwarves, regular dwarves first. As you had a session about that previously before on your channel, good sir, in regards to like regular dwarves and all that.
Yeah, good old grudgeful little stunties.
Right. So you know that the dwarves are creations of the old ones after the elves, if judging by the timeline.
Sure.
And the dwarves started in a hold called Karak Zorn, which is further down this range called the World's Edge Mountains, which should be like in the middle of this picture I sent you here, which is like further towards Nehekara. That apparently was the very first dwarven hold in recorded history. Now, eventually, with like this being a great luscious world that the old ones made for their creations here, they eventually expanded, like going alongside the mounds and then expanding and then eventually forming the Karaz Angkor, being like the Dwarven Empire is what it's really called at their height. And so they expanded down south, they went up, they eventually found Karaza Karak being their capital, found Karak 8 Peaks as well. And then eventually that's when some dwarves started splitting based on what their environment was. Like, I'm sure you know, like some of them went west to the Great Mountains, like closer to Bretonia and the Southern Realms, yada yada, and that. And some went really far up north towards like Norska, and that's where Karak Drak was, and the Norse dwarves.
Yeah, I know briefly about those dudes. I'm sure they'll get their own. They'll get some coverage when we get on to Norska and stuff like that. I'm sure, but yeah, I know about those guys a little bit. They're a little more barbaric compared to their kin.
Right. Now, the thing is that there were some dwarves, some like explorers or quote-unquote pioneers that went to the east part. As you can see, that little patch of land between the World's Edge Mountains and the Mountains of Morn. This place is what's now called the Darklands, but it's also called the Skull Lands. As this place is like pretty devoid of life, with like mainly the bones of animals being like picked clean there. However, this place, as you can tell because they're dwarves, is rich with like raw materials and precious metals and minerals. Hence why there were a lot of explorers and mining operations that just went there. Despite not having many mountains, they still like burrowed down and had several different tunnels, mining places, yada yada and all that. To like dig and make contact and all that, right?
Yeah, in the diggy hole. What was there? I do want to cut you off real quick with a question. Was there anything out there at this time, or is it literally just this shithole of just ash and skulls? Like, were there...
maybe not as bad as currently, but it's not the best of places compared to like mountain holds, say in the old world, even down south.
Right. So it always sucked, regardless. It was still pretty desolate at every point in time.
If I recall correctly, and mind you, like also big disclaimer, everyone, like I'm not a lore expert by any means, but this is like what I know based on what I've been able to take out from Warhammer lore in the past few years, especially regarding this here. But in the origins of the world, it was like claimed to be almost like a big desert, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. Give it like a big desert.
So it's what happened was that now then.
Kind of. Maybe not as bad. That's the thing. Like everything was not as bad as it is currently now in the world.
Sure.
So, as I was saying, these dwarves went to the east, and they like eventually saw that this place, despite being pretty like barren, let's say, was filled with like all sorts of riches and raw materials. Then, of course, dwarves being dwarves, they decided, I want to get in on that shit. And just start mining, digging, and doing whatever they can in order to like help, like for their great empire. And so these dwarves, yeah, these Eastern dwarves, they still kept in contact with their Western cousins, although it's like not that far off, but they still kept in contact with that, being sort of a division of it. Like, you have the normal dwarves in the center, you have the Grey Mounts, which may have their own thing. The Norse dwarves, as we eventually know, do kind of have their own culture, especially going centuries down
Right.
here and there.
Right.
But eventually, like all of this came down when the Fire Nation, I mean the demons, eventually came into the world and started attacking and flooding the entire place.
Ah, it was around
So
that time. Okay, that was what was
yeah,
like the kicker there. I did not know about
uh-huh.
that.
Yeah, the Great Catastrophe. Because as you recall, like in this little land here, you can see between those two mountain ranges, there's not really many mountains to hold out in like the other dwarves had. So these dwarves like did their best and just hid underground in the places they already built there. And
Right.
these dwarves unfortunately lost contact with their western kin and just got surrounded by like swarms of demons, chaos marauders, warriors, whatever, and sorts of beasts. Like all sorts of crazy crap that was going on during that time there.
Oh,
And the
so it was
dwarves, like being sorry.
it was a situation where they're like, we're already in this desolate wasteland. We're here in a mine. Surviving here is rough enough as is. We're just kind of creating
Hmm.
hovels to live in. And now because we don't have barricades, we don't have like an established military, we're kind of just getting mauled by everything that's just kind of spawning in then. Literally spawning. Is that
Yep,
kind of the
exactly.
vibe going on here?
So with all those demons spawning and like all the different mutations going on, like beastmen arising, chaos warriors appearing here and there, and all sorts of other crap going on, they were pretty much surrounded and just forced to almost like bury underground in order to hold out as best they can. Now these still being dwarves, they were able to like survive from sheer like stubbornness and willpower and strength there.
Right.
However, being like exposed to this here did cause some issues because as we know, the old ones, they created all these different races with like different quirks and unique things, right? Like
Sure.
they created the lizardmen to be like strong enforcers of order and their law. Each of them had different varying issues. As we know, the lizardmen are more like automatons, cold-blooded machines, really, that don't really have much thought or emotion, not as
Yes,
much as
yeah.
like other races. The elves that they made were like masters of magic, but like the winds of magic, they were quite emotional, like especially when it comes to their highs and lows.
Yeah, they're turbulent, and that's why it's like Slanesh is like, ah, yes, good.
But yeah, hence why Slanesh loves like tasting their souls because of just how decadent they can be,
Yeah,
especially with how high and low their emotions can be.
yeah,
Eventually, the old ones created the dwarves, which they actually made the dwarves from the very earth and stone there. And by doing that, they were like very hard, sturdy, and resistant, very resistant to chaos. However, it made them like very stubborn in nature and greedy, and like unable to cast magic. Hence, why the dwarves use runes.
right, right. Well, like I always had the impression that the dwarfs were probably more resistant to chaos energy than the elves, but that one was seemed kind of, up in the air because I know they were second to the elves, being like, we're gonna make them similar, but we're gonna make them just hella stubborn.
Yeah, and the dwarves, I would say, are definitely one of the more resistant races to chaos. Like the elves are already kind of resistant to chaos, but there are some, like you've probably seen with some of the DLCs, like the Druki Anointed is what it's called.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
ones do have some mutations when it comes to chaos, but they are very subtle, not as obvious as say on humans.
Yeah, and even so, being like, they don't need to be corrupted by actual chaos, but they can very easily just be like feeding Slanesh all day long and with the Druki and all that stuff.
Yeah,
But
exactly. It's not as obvious with their visual mutations, for example. So
sure.
then after the dwarves, then came the humans, which they made to be like very adaptable, as they saw the dwarves being very stubborn and very stagnant.
Yeah.
And it's true that humans are very adaptable and can like easily evolve, but with that, it makes them very vulnerable to the influences of chaos.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird. They kind of had like the perfect formation of just being the lizard man, and then for some reason they decided to try to basically like because the lizard men were already basically immune, and then they kept trying to make it more immune, and they somehow went completely in reverse.
Well, I think what the old ones were doing is that they had the lizardmen first to like be the extermination squad of the undesirable creatures and races already on the world. Because there were actually races on there, like the dragons and dragon ogres, for example,
Dragon
when the old
ogres,
ones
yeah.
arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I think they created them just to be the extermination squad, and then they decided to create their own races to have like their own free will and their own unique things to see like what works and all
Ah,
that.
okay. So it was just an experiment for them. Well, that makes sense because when
Right.
everything went to shit, they were literally just like, nah, I'm out. Peace.
Yeah. So but here's the thing: after the humans, eventually the old ones did create like two more races after that: the halflings and the ogres.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Hmm.
knew about that
But
part.
anyway, But anyway, as I was saying, like with the dwarves being created, like just because you're resistant to something doesn't mean that you are immune to it. There's a big difference with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So during this whole time with the dwarves being like cut off, like starving and like and all that corruption around, it eventually does seep into them. And during this time, these dwarves just felt completely abandoned as there was like zero contact and just surrounded by all sorts of just nonsense and crap around them. And
Well,
eventually, like they were praying out to their ancestors, God, just begging for like some way of like saving their entire people and everyone in that region. There was no answer from the ancestor gods, but there was an answer from someone else,
yeah,
someone different,
I'm pretty
and
sure I know
that
this
being,
one.
yeah, and that being the minor chaos god called Hashut. Hashut being the god of darkness, slavery, and tyranny, father of fire and greed.
Okay, so was Hashut like brought into existence because of these guys, or was he already somehow prior established? Do you know, or?
It's unsure about that, but what we do know is that he is a minor chaos god. He's not nearly as powerful as like the big four, for example.
Sure, yeah, he's like the great horned rat sort of deal.
Right, so it's unclear because we know for a fact in Warhammer Fantasy is that if people believe in something enough, there could be like a god or some sort of manifestation of it, like in magic per se.
Right.
Which is why the Chaos Gods are so powerful because even with stuff that we do, like without even thinking about chaos, it feeds into them. Like when you squish or kill a spider in your house, that does feed Korn just a little bit. If you have
Mm-hmm.
like a million people thinking that way, it still feeds him regardless.
Right.
So
Right.
it could be that Hashud was like a dormant deity that was just waiting for these guys to like awaken him, or maybe he was like some minor demon that broke off and manipulated them to then gain more power through their belief.
Ah, okay. So it's potential that like, yeah, okay. So he probably more than likely already existed, and then it was really just like this is the prime situation of like, oh look, free real estate. I'm just gonna establish myself with these guys who are basically a bunch of dwarfs that are isolated from their kin in demon trench warfare in Mordor. That's kind of the
Right.
gist, yeah.
And again, these guys were so desperate that they pretty much agreed because Hashud actually did help them, whether
Well,
they liked it or not.
yeah, and also, I
Hmm.
mean, they're trying to reach out to their other dwarf kin, who are probably just like, yeah, we're just gonna hang out in our mountain holds, and when they can't send messages during the Great Catastrophe, it's already like shit's already bad enough as is. So I'm guessing
So
that the other dwarfs were
they were
like,
all
oh,
cut
what's
up.
going on?
Yeah, they were all cut off, and like everyone was held up in their mountain holds. If anything, like again, like everyone had it bad during this time. There's no question about that.
Yeah,
Although I think maybe the dwarves had a little bit better than the elves, because at least they were like in a freaking mountain of all places to hold out. The elves
yeah.
didn't really have that much stuff.
Whereas
But
the
again, I could
elves,
be
I'm
wrong
pretty
about that.
sure they'd never dealt with war prior, and then like, oh look, an army of demonettes.
Hmm. Yeah, even the lizardmen, like they were built for that stuff. Even like their territory, the jungle, still eventually evolved to actually help them out to be
Yeah,
very vicious too.
yeah. They were like, this is Tuesday. Like, who cares? We can handle this shit.
Well, I mean, these guys are not regular greenskins. These are demons. Very different things.
That is, yeah. Well, I mean, okay, but lizard men in particular are like, oh hell yeah, let's do this. My
But
primary
what,
foe.
but yeah, but when you're facing millions of demons at once, it's very different.
That's a different story altogether. Well, yeah, because at one point, lizard men once again were like the dominant force, and then they just kind of got Thanos snapped by all the bullshit that came into shore from the warp, and it's like, well, this sucks. So God only knows what these poor dwarfs in the Darklands were dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, after all, if you recall, the lizardmen, they were pretty much all over the world acting as like kind of the police force while these new races were being developed, right?
Yeah,
Like they were the guardians, really.
yeah.
And they were pushed back so much, the majority of their race lives in Lustria, of all places, with a few pockets here in like the Southlands, another place called the Dragon Isles.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I do
not a good
like
time.
to the aspect of the dwarfs just being like, when you can look at this map and be like, whereabouts can I find these little bastards? Look at every place that any normal human would be like, there's no way I'm going into these mountains of just treacherous landscapes, and be like, yeah, this is their home. This is where it's like they feel most comfortable and most at peace. And it does just like you look at this, it's like, oh, so that's like half the map. That's just they've just taken over the borders basically.
So the place where this like dark pact was made, where these chaos dwarves, now the chaos dwarves have like agreed to worship Hashut. If you zoom in closely, there's a place called Zorn Uskul. It's kind of like in that tip between like where the Mountains of Morn and the World's Edge Mountains like touch there.
Oh yes, okay.
Zorn was cool. Like that was where it was made. Like that's where the dwarves eventually emerged once the Great Catastrophe was done with. And the vortex was made in Oath One to then banish the demons across the world.
Yes, but at this point, it was already too late for the poor guys that were stuck in the Darklands and just holding out. They were already corrupted, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, totally. Because when they emerged from the ground and came out to this barren, now desolate wasteland, really of ash and fire, because the Great Catastrophe caused that. They were visibly mutated. It's not like as obvious as say a human mutation for chaos, but whereas like dwarves have big beards and all that, these guys like formed like tusks in their mouths,
Yeah, they kind of
like
have like
visible
Orcus
tusks.
sort of like tusks now and horns, don't they?
Exactly, yes, and some of them horns. And in the most egregious of them was actually some bull centaurs that came into the mix. No idea how that was made. It could have been that Hashut just decided to like play, I don't know, Spore, and
Oh, like
decided to like put a Chaos Dwarf with a bull of some kind somehow.
so that was like right off the bat that the bull centaurs came up to be.
Yeah, they
Like,
were there like once the pact was made and they agreed to worship Hashut. Like they
oh,
were there.
oh, it
However,
was
from what
that
I
fast.
understand,
Okay.
yeah, however, from what I understand, again, I might be wrong about this, with bull centaurs, like again, they are the most zealots of the Chaos Dwarf army, really. Like they are huge fanatics of Hashut, believing him to be like their father or their own deity. I mean, all of them do, but they are the most fanatical about it. And whenever a bull centaur is born, it's always from like a dwarf woman, and the dwarf woman never survives. Never.
Oh, I don't like that. No, I'm not. No. Okay. Oh, that's unfortunate.
And again,
Uh,
like it's not that, and it's that whenever a Chaos Dwarf woman is pregnant, there's just like a small but still a chance there that it could be a bull centaur just born there. Or sometimes another thing that could happen is that some Chaos Dwarf sorcerers, we'll get into that in a second, could just manipulate it and make it so that way. Oh, they want to increase their numbers, just cast some magic on some pregnant Chaos Dwarf women and just make it happen that way.
oh, you can just make them into just change the child within the womb, and just being like,
Uh,
congrats, your child is now half horse, just a centaur monster.
Half bull, yeah, potentially. I don't know if it's a
That's
guarantee thing, but were plenty of attempts in order to increase their numbers.
well, that's awful. But I
Yeah,
guess
these guys they're still dwarves, so they do have like some form of like, iron will, determination, stubbornness, greed, and all that. But a lot of the things that made regular dwarves like pretty good, some of those traits were considered as weakness, like mercy, for example. That was thrown out the window with chaos dwarves.
okay, and that goes with like other dwarfs, I'm guessing. Yes.
You mean like to their own kind?
Yeah. Well, yes, other
Oh,
chaos dwarfs. I mean, sorry.
oh yeah, with their own kind, with chaos dwarves. So yeah, mercy is seen as a huge weakness. Now they do try to like help one another because their population is like significantly lower than regular dwarves of all things, if you can believe that. There, but
Really?
if you were, oh yeah, they are. Like remember, these guys were already like pioneers, a small part of the chaos of the dwarf empire put here, and now the numbers are smaller after the great catastrophe too.
Okay. Well, I guess there's another question I have actually in regards to that because we brought up dwarf women or chaos dwarf women.
Uh huh.
The first question: A, are they as common as like standard dwarf women, where it's like 1 in 10? And B, I know with normal dwarves, it's like the process of marriage and childbearing is complicated at the very least. So is it the similar way with these dudes?
I honestly do not know about that one too much. I'm assuming
Okay.
maybe the rate is similar with regular dwarves. However, one thing I do know is that, like for example, what usually happens to dwarf women when they reach an old age where they can no longer, say, bear children, for example? Just out of curiosity.
Oh, like do I know? Oh, I'm assuming they probably would like join like Vallejo or something, like a
Sure.
nun of Vallejo or
Yeah,
something. Sure,
or they would like say that they become priests of Valea like at a young age, kind of like nuns, right?
sure.
Yeah, with the Chaos Dwarf women, when they become old enough where they can no longer bear children, they are forced to like join a group called the Haradon, I think, which is like a fanatical like female group worship of Hashut, almost like think of it like flagellants for the Empire, but Chaos Dwarf women being
Oh,
like their
that's so
final form,
fucking cool.
yeah, like their final form of duty before they die, just to like so that way they don't just wither around and be useless, for example. Because in the eyes
Oh,
of Chaos Wars, you have to be useful in some way or another. You can't just sit around and do nothing.
Oh yes, because these guys are ultimate industrialists, so that makes sense. Being
Oh
like, well,
yeah.
you're gonna be useful one way or another.
Oh yeah, if you thought your manager was already hard on your ass and micromanaging you, you have no idea what a Chaos Dwarf does to other people.
Oh God. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that in further detail, and I'm scared too, but we'll get there when we get
Uh-huh.
there. So
So, going back to that, so the Chaos Dwarves emerge from their place. Now, the thing is, like, it's similar to the Dark Elves, where they decide to, like, start an empire of their own, making, right?
yeah,
With all their beliefs and their own machinations or whatever. And like the Dark Elves, they think of themselves as like a higher form of being, like not meant to do such the dirty handiwork of like some infrastructure, building stuff. They can do architecture and all that with designing it. But what they do is that they go around just enslaving other sentient species around them and force them to do the manual labor required for that. And the
yeah. So
biggest thing that they do for them is like, unlike the Dark Elves, which they use slaves, like the Dark Elves do use slaves for like, infrastructure and all that. But Dark Elves, if I recall, they mainly have slaves, or some of them have slaves for like torture and pleasure of things, right?
yeah, yeah. I
With the
kind of
Chaos
covered that like
Dwarves,
a
they
bit when I
don't.
was reading Malice Darkblade. Like it kind of goes into more detail regarding that.
Right. But the Chaos Dwarves, like very few of them do like torture their slaves, but really they use slaves as either like sacrifice and fuel for furnaces or other dark magics, or purely just for brutal like industrial efficiency, really.
Right, because I do know vaguely a bit about this thing. What is it called? Like I think it's literally called Drill of Hashut, isn't it? Which is just like
Oh,
yeah,
that's.
just throw in people as
Mhm.
fodder.
Yeah, that's like one of those mechanics in the game. That's a whole separate thing. But if you recall from the game, there's like labor in order to get raw materials to then make the what's it called, armaments eventually.
Right. And
Yeah,
it
it's literally
literally is
just
just
trying to
work till you're dead.
raid get some laborers or interns, as the game likes to call them there, which is hilarious. But I think they just use that because they didn't want the code to have the same name as the Dark Elf slave system there. But
No,
anyway, like
yes.
that's their whole point. It's like they get these people, they enslave them in order to like do the raw, dirty work that they think they are far above to do that, and also because they're low in number anyway, so they got to get the hands somehow in order to do that. And around the area, really, there are a lot of greenskins around. And they found the greenskins to be a pretty good race to enslave, since they are like pretty big, burly, and resistant one, but they are pretty stupid when it comes to that. So they could be like easy to conquer and enslave once you do it correctly,
Right. So
and
they're
you got plenty of them to do so.
yeah. So they were literally just like, all right, we'll find a way to just make these guys like we're going to break these orcs to just be act as hammers for us.
Exactly. Yeah, or even like to act as cannon fodder, to protect their masters and the people who are far above them. And of course, like as cruel as the Chaos Dwarves are, like you have to do something really bad just to have an execution of another Chaos Dwarf, really, which we'll get into eventually with a particular unit that I'm sure you're aware of down the line.
Okay. So
All right, so they start in Zorn Uskul, then they head south in the Darklands, between the two mountain ranges. They expand and get more, and eventually they build their capital, Zar Nagrund, being like this giant colossal citadel of flame, ash, and fire. Think of it kind of like Isengard from Lord of the Rings.
yeah. That is like kind of how I always saw these guys of like this is like the Solomon industrialist sort of mindset with these bastards.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, totally. And of course, like in the Zarnagrund itself, there's like a really huge ziggurat or spire at the very top, being the biggest temple of Hashut built there.
Okay. And the
So
base.
another thing about the Chaos Dwarf society is that there is no one like really leader of the Chaos Dwarfs per se. It is definitely a caste system of a kind, with like the sorcerers, the sorcerer priests of the Chaos Dwarfs being at the very top of it, being like a collection of sorts, with some more powerful than others, but yeah, kind of like a collection.
Right, okay. So
Which also reminds me, sorry to bring this up here, should have mentioned it earlier. Also, with Hashut not only mutated them to be like that and made them very resistant, or like mutated by chaos and very resistant to fire, but he also like gave these dwarves the power of to actually cast a magic, which the regular dwarves cannot do. But
yeah.
there is a huge cost to that, because they are still dwarves and have dwarven bodies. And the old ones made them specifically so that way they cannot cast magic. So because of this affront, really, whenever a Chaos Dwarf sorcerer does cast magic, a little bit of him, unfortunately, like turns back to stone, as if like returning him to his original roots, the very thing that molded into a dwarf. So if a
I
Chaos Dwarf
see.
sorcerer is, yeah, if a Chaos Dwarf sorcerer is very, I guess, what's the term I should use? Not like he doesn't have so much restraint when it comes to casting magic. He will eventually turn into just a statue of stone.
Right. So these guys are literally fighting against their own natural nature as dwarfs because it's like this was something that was held exclusively for humans and elves, and now because you're basically trying to break the rules of nature, you can get fucked and just get turned back into the stone that you were molded from.
Yeah.
And I'm so how liberal are they with casting this magic?
It depends on the person, how powerful they are. There's not an exact rule for that from what I've seen. But imagine it's like if you cast a fireball, the effects of it is not instant. It's like maybe a little portion of your toe, like the tiniest portion, turns to stone, but you can hardly feel it, for example. It's like
Oh.
it is a long process, but eventually a sorcerer will turn to stone if they are not killed in battle first.
So this dude just like wakes up the next morning and just being like, "Oh, my pinky toe has gone numb," and just like you look down, it's just gone gray.
Possibly, yeah.
Oh wow, okay,
And
that's
in fact, it said either at Zarnagrund or another one of the Chaos Dwarf city, the Temple of Hashut actually has like imagine a walkway that is littered with a bunch of statues of previous sorcerers that were just like too stupid to like not to realize how the effect worked.
uh, so so it's the oh my god, okay, so it's sort of the mummy dragon emperor deal. Those stone statue warrior guys.
Yeah, except these guys are failures. Like imagine going to a
Yeah,
college and when you walk into each class, it's like pictures of people who failed the classes.
yeah.
How does that feel?
Here's the the valedictory of losers.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the
You
hall of
better hope
lame.
You better hope your picture does not end up on this wall.
Yeah, God. Okay. Just be like, look upon you, your predecessors, and how they all failed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
God. That sucks. So that's your motivation to be like, don't go too, gung ho with your magic casting. Okay. But you said it's random. So can one dude do like, oh yes, I'm a wizard, Harry, and just be casting spells left and right, and then one dude decides to like light a candle with his mind, and then just being like the next day that dude's like, God help. Everything is
No,
turned to stone.
no, I wouldn't say it's random, but I guess the effect is like more on some sorcerers than others. But it does say it's a slow process because the more you do it, then it does eventually come up to you.
Ah,
That's the
okay.
point of it
So
there.
slow poison.
Exactly, yeah. But it will come to you eventually unless like you get say an arrow in the heart, perhaps, or
Right,
like a
right.
gunshot to the head, or whatever.
And
Because they can still
because
die with regular combat and all that.
because I mean, A, they're dwarfs, and also B, they're chaos dwarfs, so it's like they got like dark magic. Are they doing malevolent stuff to counteract this, or are they kind of just like, it just shoots will, whatever?
I'm
Like,
sure they're thinking about ways, but they have yet to found it. So yeah, it's
ah,
unfortunate.
okay, that is unfortunate. I mean, they deserve it, to be fair. They deserve far worse, but yeah, that
But I
sucks.
mean,
Don't want that
you
for
have to
yourself.
admit that's a pretty big edge for them, considering their low population and all that. And they are still dwarves casting like actual magic from the lore of Hashut, lore of fire, I think lore of metal and shadows, if I recall correctly, too, or death.
I
One
mean,
of those two.
it sounds like the lowering like population rate is all these guys' fault. It sounds like it's literally all because of these sorcerers, because the sorcerers are doing this and then turning themselves to stone, and then they're also like, yeah, your kid's not really cutting the mustard. Let me change him in the womb and also like have him like kill his mother on the way out.
Remember, the sorcerers are still like they're not like the majority of the population still. Hence why they are in the cast because they are like the elite, really.
Right, right.
The nobility, really.
I'm
That's the
guessing
thing.
these guys have a Skaven like caste system or something.
Kind of actually. Although never tell a chaos dwarf that because like regular dwarves, they do hate Skaven just as much as regular dwarves.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Oh yeah, they do.
Really?
They
That
absolutely
surprises
do.
me because they seem weirdly similar.
Well, not exactly, because the Skavens backstab each other. Chaos Dwarves do not really backstab each other that much. If you fuck up, then you're going to be punished, but if you're, like, found to be intentionally doing that, that's a different story.
Okay.
They have their own form of twisted honor amongst themselves still. At least trying to, like, help each other out here and there, but still trying to prove that they are better than one another. At least through, like, regular competition, rather than actual sabotage.
This is very drooky vibe coming off these guys. But one thing I'm realizing is that, like, because you were talking earlier, being like, these guys will get slaves and, throw them into the furnace. And then you said
Hmm.
mercy is basically weakness to these dudes. It sounds like these guys are drooky, but they don't take pleasure in what they do. They're like, I don't have time for that. It's like progress.
Totally. Like they are supposed to be all about efficiency and getting shit done. Not about like the excess or seeing like someone get bled to death or thrown in a fire. Like someone getting like an orc slave being thrown in the fire might be get a little chuckle out of them, but then they just stop and go right back into like business mode.
Right. Okay. Okay. I'm getting
If any,
an idea.
yeah, if anything, I think the only people that really have quote unquote fun in the Chaos Dwarf army is either like the bull centaurs when they are eating slave flesh, because that's what they eat. They eat like raw meat. Or the
Oh.
sorcerer, or the sorcerer lords, because they are like the nobility and all that, and get a bit more of the a bit more bonuses to their jobs.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
Like
Um.
actually having their own places of study and all that, reading some books here and there, like perhaps practicing some magic or being the ones to do rituals and all that.
Right. Okay.
Hmm.
So we've covered basically like the top two of this caste system, then, right? Like the centaurs and the bull centaurs and like the sorcerers, right?
Yeah, the sorcerers. Then you have the regular Chaos Dwarf, let's say warriors, let's say, the normal ones. The ones that can't do magic, but there could be like varying things here and there. Which also reminds me, like, Sorcerer Lords, those are like the experienced magic users. There's like a portion of them below that, which is called the Demon Smiths. They are they are like, sorcerers, just not as experienced as, the top dogs.
Well, these guys are kind of like their whole shtick, from what I understand, because everyone likes to compare these guys to the Iron Warriors of Warhammer 40,000. Like these are the dudes that make the dildo cannon, right? Like the big ass Hellfire cannon or whatever.
Yes, like they are magic users, but they are a bit more involved when it comes to like the industrial portion of like building artillery or like how they actually work. For example, like how what the hail cannon is?
It's like from what I understand, like it's standard dwarven machinery, and then there's a demon thrown in as a battery, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Because unfortunately it's not the game, but on tabletop, the hail cannons are usually chained onto the ground. So that way they can like fire. Because if they are not chained, they would just like go strolling right into the battle and start acting like a frenzy, just bloodthirsty monsters spinning around trying to bite at the enemy. Or
Right.
its
So
allies, really.
so basically, there's a bloodthirster or whatever that's just like thrown into this gun, and then they
Hmm.
chain it down so it doesn't just kill them, because otherwise it just would slaughter everything in sight. And instead is like, well, your only option now is to fire at the enemy.
Yeah, because the Chaos Dwarves do not really have their own demons, like say Korn or Zinch or other people do. Hashud does not really have that. So what the Chaos Dwarves do is that when they're trying to build artillery or some of the other creatures we'll talk about, what they do is that they try to like trap or get some warp creatures and trap them to like pieces of armor or metal or whatever in order to infuse it with like magical properties of whatever needs to be done, and just almost like enslave it to be an artillery battery or some sort of like construct, really.
I love that concept. It's so like just the most metal ass thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's like summoning a demon and being like, "Ha, I'm here to kill and slaughter." It's like, nope, we're gonna use it as a battery. Deal with it.
Get in the fucking Gundam, Shinji.
Or it's like the what is my purpose? To pass butter.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is literally the meme. I don't want to get in the fucking giant robot, Shinji.
Unfortunately, I've not seen that, so I'm
Oh,
unknowledgeable about this.
Evangelion reference.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
heard about that. I've yet to see that, unfortunately.
Yeah, the main
Anyway.
character has about 15 minutes of not wanting to pilot the giant robot, and his dad's just yelling at him the entire time, saying, "Get in the goddamn robot, Shinji." So that's
Right.
basically what these guys are doing to literal demons.
Oh yeah. In fact, the creatures of the warp do not like the Chaos Swords because they just entrap them like this here.
God. Is there anyone that likes these guys? Like,
Maybe the ogres, depending on what kind of trade deals they got, or some Norskins. Because the thing about the Chaos Swords is that even though they don't like other Chaos Forces, they consider themselves lower, being like, "Oh, you worship Korn? He's a pussy compared to Hashut." Really, but they do like trade in order to like make money or get slaves from the Norskins. Being like the Norskins be like, "Oh, we just came back from a raid and got these guys here." It's like, okay, we'll purchase that and give you like these new axes that we made in exchange.
All right, have you seen? I'm hoping you've seen this. You've seen American Psycho, right?
No, I've not.
Fuck. Okay. There's just a really good line in that goes perfect with this, where he says, "The only emotions I have are greed and disgust," and it's like that's literally these dudes.
Honestly, yeah, especially on the greed part. Especially on the greed part.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, remember, like if you thought the regular dwarves were greedy, these guys just like went into not to the 10th power, to the 11th power of
Well, that
greed.
that's the thing is that like the old like standard dwarfs, they dig and mine because they just want like gold and precious minerals. Like, what are these guys? What is their end game now that they're like with Hashut and they're like, yeah, the ancestor gods didn't answer our calls. Like, what is their thing now that they're after? Or is it literally just, yeah, Hashut wants us to just enslave everything and just build?
Building dark machines, spreading the word of Hashut, or at least like making Hashut more powerful by becoming a huge empire, enslaving everyone else because they believe themselves to be the best and most dominant race in the world.
Ah, so power is currency.
Oh yeah, totally. And
Gotcha.
also going back to your cast question, so as we said, Sorcerer Lords on top, Bull Centaurs and like Demon Smiths next, then regular Chaos Dwarfs, like warriors, Castellans, guards, whatever, yada yada here. Then at the
Sure.
very, very bottom are the slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Right.
and usually the majority of them are the greenskins, like orcs, goblins, hobgoblins, and all that, and some ogres here and there. If like an ogre this tribe decided to be a bit cocky and got absolutely like raffle stomped by them.
Right. Are they also prone to enslaving dowry?
Uh, Possibly, or like either capturing them and maybe sacrificing them because the Chaos Dwarves probably hate the regular dwarves the most because they felt
Yes.
abandoned and betrayed by them, especially.
Sure. Sure. So it makes sense.
hmm
Because I
The whole
am curious, like how much these guys actually get out and about, and how much of this just them scouring their home territory.
it's a bit odd. Like I'm sure in the game, I'm sure you'll declare war on the dwarves or they declare war on you, or whatever. But like in lore, because like the dwarf population and chaos dwarf populations are quote unquote low, they don't really dare go into each other's territory. Otherwise, that would be almost like Project Mad for both of them.
Oh, so it's like, well, we could go to war with our cousins who we loathe, but like we already got Skaven and orcs trying to decimate us off the map already. So why make a bad situation even worse?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, and the reason why they hate the Skaven is because Skaven try to undermine their operations, digging underneath them, taking their tunnels and all that, and because they don't like the Skaven because they are probably the weakest race they ever saw, and
Oh,
they
so
therefore really look down at them, saying like, "You're not even useful as a slave, so I'm just gonna kill you instead."
we can't even use you to swing a pickaxe. You don't even have enough muscle to swing the damn thing. Okay.
Well, yeah. Why do you think they like orcs and ogres so much? Because they are actually built to resist the harsh and cruel conditions of their, whatever they need to be done in their slavery operations.
Get in there, big boy. Slaps him on
Yeah.
the ass.
Yeah, in fact, like even when they get humans, they don't even think about consider them as slaves because humans are too weak usually.
Oh, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, the standard dude of the Empire is just trying to survive and just being like, dude, I already have like 12 diseases. I can't work in the fucking mines.
So it's just like, all right, to the pit of fire you go then.
Into the drill. Get in the drill.
Yeah, pretty much. So okay, going back to the origins. So we're still back to like them expanding their empire and going further south between the different mountain ranges there. And so they go around capturing different greenskin tribes here and there, getting some orcs and some goblins. Goblins, while not being as strong as orcs, they make up for it with numbers at the very least.
Sure, sure.
But unfortunately, like orcs, while they're stupid, they can be can be pretty rowdy. And there have been like some orc rebellions here and there, which is causing a bit of an annoyance because it's like, well, God damn, this is affecting our operations and our quotas. What the
Yeah.
fuck are we gonna do? So then eventually they came with an idea saying like, you know what, we have these dark magics and we know at least how the orcs like, breed with spores and all that. What if we try to like make them a bit better here and more organized and obedient to obey our commands and not complain as much? So
Ah,
that's where
yes,
the
I know
Chaos
how
Dwarves
this went.
eventually. Yeah, so the Chaos Dwarves eventually, like with their dark magics and like selective breeding of like specific spores or types, eventually created the Black Orcs. The Black Orcs were
Hmm.
meant to be like almost like an overseer type of race to like make the other orcs and themselves stronger, smarter, and obedient and all that. The issue is that they made orcs bigger, stronger, and smarter. I'm sure you can
Yeah.
tell how that goes.
They came to the realization, why the hell would I be working for these little chaos bastards when I can just kill them and take everything they got?
Yeah, hence started the Great Black Orc Rebellion, with where the Black Orcs, like regular orcs, are not very organized. They're pretty rowdy and just want to smash stuff. The Black Orcs would be like, "Hey, instead of smashing each other, why don't we smash those assholes over there?" And we're actually be able to almost like Spartacus this stuff. And it was so bad and so massive that it almost led the Chaos Dwarfs to extinction, with the Big Orc Rebellion like bearing down the gates of Zarnagrund, their final fortress.
Yeah, I've heard about that one. That's really rough. So Zarnagon actually got sacked, or?
It was almost. They were like battering down the gates, like almost closing in and like making the gates fall down.
Oh shit, okay. So
Yeah, it was
Zarnagon was like the
bad.
last remaining fort that they had.
Oh yeah, totally. But eventually, the Chaos Dwarves realized something amongst the Greenskins there, because we know that Greenskins like are prone to animosity, which is why the Black Orcs were really good at their job with preventing that.
Sure, they
But
actually
they
got
didn't reach
everyone
that.
in line and were like, listen, we're going to actually form a coup. We're not just going to be like having one dude with a stick trying to fight an
Mhm.
entire army.
Right. But eventually, the Chaos Dwarves realized that there was one chink in the armor of this big rebellion, specifically a subspecies of goblins called the Hobgoblins. If you don't know, like, you know the size of regular goblins being like maybe, say, half the size of a man or whatever, right?
Sure, they're puny little
Hobgoblins,
bastards.
yeah, hobgoblins are a bit bigger, like kind of in between regular goblins and orcs. They are a
Hmm.
bit bigger and stronger than regular goblins, but the thing about them is that the hobgoblins are very treacherous and backstabby bunch. Whereas a goblin might be able to like pierce you in the front, hobgoblins prefer to like stab or pierce their enemies in the back. That's their shtick. So the
Right.
Chaos Dwarves eventually made a deal with the hobgoblins. The hobgoblins actually betrayed the orc rebellion while that was going on and caused so much animosity that the entire thing just collapsed amongst itself. Like almost imploded the entire rebellion and caused all the greenskins to disperse, with like a big black orcs either heading to the mountains of Morn or heading west.
So I'm assuming it was not only this thing of like, because obviously there were black orcs and then standard orcs in the midst. So I'm
Oh
assuming
yeah.
what it was like the hobgoblins before the battles start would be like spreading rumors of animosity and everything and causing like infighting. And then when
Oh
the
yeah, I'm
actual fight
sure.
took place, oh hey,
Mhm.
let's like turncoat.
Oh, I'm sure that happened, but the whole shtick was that because there was like enough around the entire rebellion with hobgoblins either like backstabbing or talking smack about people, that was hard for the Black Orcs to actually organize people because it was within their own ranks and there was so much of it. And during that
Right.
time, that's when eventually the Chaos Dwarfs fired back amongst that time of confusion.
Sure, sure. Yeah, all the other remaining black orcs, I'm assuming got bored and they were like, whatever.
Well, they fled because they realized that shit was going south for them. So they just ran away either to the west or to the east with the mountains, World's Edge Mountains or the Mountains of Morn.
I'm assuming Grimgor was not here.
It's kind of rumored that Grimgor may have been a Black Orc slave during a time, but it's a huge rumor. But we do know
Ah,
he did come from the east, and from the Darklands, and eventually headed to the World's Edge Mountain with his Immortal's bodyguard.
yes, yeah. So that was kind of why I'm like, well, the whole thing with Grimgor is that he tends to get bored and leaves the fight. So that would track if he was like, oh, we're just getting bombarded with artillery and there's just no actual like hand to hand killing. I'm leaving. Come
Hmm.
on, boys, let's go.
Yeah, and like again, this is end time stuff, so you could say if it's canon or not, but it is like heavily implied, eventually confirmed that Grimgor has, despite having like a hatred of goblins, absolutely despises and has a huge hatred for Chaos Dwarves, especially.
That makes sense because they probably tortured him to death, or not to death, but tortured him and took his eye.
Yeah, it's like it is theorized that he did because, of course, when he came from the Darklands, he was already missing an eye and his tooth was like cracked or like missing. You know, one of his teeth was just half gone. It
Yeah.
is speculated that that happened during his Chaos Dwarf enslavement time, or during the rebellion in battle, perhaps.
Right. Okay. So nothing about it is particularly cleared up with regards to that, but yeah, he came out and he was already missing limbs. So he would not be too fond of these guys.
Uh huh, definitely. So then, after that whole catastrophe happened, that's eventually where the Chaos Dwarf caste system actually changed a bit. So, like we said, we have Sorcerer Lords, Demon Smiths, Bow Centaurs, regular Chaos Dwarfs. Now, instead of all the slaves being the same thing, you then have the Hobgoblins being on the top of the slave system, being like the overseers of regular slaves.
So they're not okay, so they're not really actual slaves in this regard, are they? They're more just
Oh,
being
oh,
like
oh,
you
oh,
manage these
they are
guys.
slaves.
Oh,
Oh,
they
they
are
are
slaves, okay.
slaves. Yeah, they are. Like the Chaos Dwarves still treat them as slaves. They just treat them a bit better than regular ones. A bit. But that's enough for the Hobgoblins, I guess, to be happy.
Right. Well, I mean, if the hobgoblin is cruel enough, then I guess, and they're managing everyone else, I guess they don't really have an issue with them.
Yeah.
Fair
And
enough.
plus, like the hobgoblins get to be cruel and like give orders to the lower greenskins, quote unquote, whereas the chaos dwarfs do to them. It's kind of like a cycle of hatred and management and all that.
Yeah, it's management run by spite.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jesus, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the chaos.
Such
It
a
is
weird
confirmed that
dynamic.
it is confirmed that the chaos dwarves did create the black orcs, and that's how it happened, which then eventually led to like black orcs around the old world. And especially in the Mounds of Warn, where there was like a huge black orc incursion that happened there, which we could get into like with the story of Greece's Gold Tooth one day, or the Ogre Kingdoms.
Right, right.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, we'll get to those guys eventually. I do need to know more about them because I'm sure they go hand in hand with these chaos DAWI quite a bit. As well, you kind of described it as like one of the few races that are actually semi-chill with.
It depends, like tribe to tribe, of course, but yeah,
Sure.
it's like also similar to Chaos Warbands too, whether they're like chill or they don't like them because they worship Hashud and not one of the other regular Chaos gods, let's say.
Yeah, sure. Okay. I
Yeah.
am curious.
So
One random thing I just thought of. Do these guys have any experience dealing with like chaos dwarfs? Dealing with Druki?
the Chaos Dwarves?
Yeah.
To my knowledge, not much really. In fact, I don't know how it would go if they ever met one another. But I'm assuming because they're such arrogant, spiteful creatures that they would assume that each other is probably the better of the other and just try to see which enslaves the other. Perhaps.
I was just about to say that they would see the other as just slave fodder
Yeah, or be like, I'm superior to you. No, I'm superior to you, sort of thing.
rather than the war of vengeance. It would just be the war of arrogance.
Probably.
Okay, so yeah, but yes, you were talking. I do want to know, like, yeah, if a standard chaos dwarf do, since you were talking about the caste system,
Hmm.
because I'm assuming like Druki, I'm pretty sure enslave other Druki. I'm assuming these dudes will not enslave their own kind.
No, they don't enslave their own kind, not like the Jerky do with their own. But if
Okay.
a Chaos Dwarf were to really fuck up, perhaps they will be severely punished.
You
In like
broke
any
the
way you can
drill.
imagine. Yeah. So it's like you lose a finger, you lose a hand, you lose an eye, you get absolutely whipped with barbed wire, whatever.
Oh,
They will not
God.
kill you. They will not kill you, but they will make you pay in blood, sweat, and tears. Or something, whatever.
It's the Davy Jones method.
Yeah. Which then goes back to a particular unit that I'm sure you're aware about. So you know how with the dwarven culture, regular dwarven, you know what the slayers are like, right? When they
Yep.
commit such a dishonor to something that's like, all right, you gotta shave your head, dye your stuff yellow, or fix your hair orange. Excuse me, I don't know why I said yellow, orange. Get rid of whatever armor and get an honorable death in battle in order to bring your honor back and all that.
Yeah. Go to Dwarven Valhalla and go and die in glorious battle.
Right. With the Chaos Dwarves, if you really fuck up by, say, I don't know, accidentally causing a huge slave rebellion, causing a big explosion that killed other Chaos Dwarves, let's say, again, it can vary time here and there.
Yeah.
But if you really fuck up, then you get sent, to become an Infernal Guard. And the Infernal Guard are the Slayer equivalent in Chaos Dwarf culture. The thing about them is that, one, they are clad to toe in heavy, frickin' black armor. But you know how they all wear masks like that? Those different masks?
Yes, yeah, the big glowing orange mask that they got on.
Yeah, the thing about them is that when they are dishonored like that, they lose whatever title, lands, or possessions they have there. Just them. I'm not sure about their families. I don't know much about that. But if you were to really fuck up, then it's like, okay, you're stripped of your title, your possessions, your bank account, whatever, all that. And there you're therefore sworn into this service of being an Infernal Guard. The thing about their masks is that those masks are recently forged, from hot metal, and then put right onto their faces while still being hot and almost bubbling right on them.
Oh, God. Okay. Yeah, I mean, mercy was a weakness to these guys, so that does make sense.
Mm-hmm. And think of it like Doctor Doom sort of thing, where it's like you put the mask on while it's still hot.
Yeah, you said that, and that was where my brain went, and that's really, unfortunate to even think about.
I mean, that's why they're all really maskless stuff where you can't see their faces, because they really have lost their identity because they screwed up so badly with that they're just a warrior. They're just meant to be whatever needs to be done there. However, unlike the regular dwarves, where it's with the Slayers, you can get your honor back just by dying a glorious, honorable death. With the Infernal Guard, surprisingly, you can actually get your honor back while still being alive. For a very, very lucky few, which then involves ripping the mask off while it's still molded to your flesh. And that's actually where the Infernal Castellans come into play. If you've seen those guys as units, or heroes, I should say.
Yeah, Infernal Castle. Isn't that like that's another sorcerer dude, isn't it? Or
No, 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 no. These are like the Infernal Guard captains. You know, the one with the really big rifle guns, the glaives.
oh right, yes, okay.
Yeah, so those guys, while they may not have their original titles and lands back, they actually get their name back and are like more like captains of the Infernal Guard. So at least have some sort of authority and sense of self back. Because I guess they did something so well that's like, all right, you get to have this background, a little bit more power.
So it's like
You're not above
good
these
job.
guys.
Like you destroyed this like slave rebellion or something. You're getting a promotion. I'm gonna rip
Hmm.
off your face real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna rip up this mask that we know melted to your face, but hey, at least you can actually have your face back now.
Yeah, I mean
Melted
you'll look like
cheese.
Two Face or something, but hey, that's fine. Like old
Hmm.
bubble face over here, you know. But
Which then, yeah, and speaking of the Infernal Guard, that actually goes back to like one of my favorite weapons in Warhammer Fantasy, the Fire Glaive. It's literally a halberd and rifle mixed together. It's so cool.
oh yes, okay, I've seen these guys. Yeah. So
Hmm.
yeah, I do. So these guys are pretty fire. They're fire oriented. I know that. That's the big thing with them. But there's like special stuff to their fire, isn't there?
I actually don't know, but I'm sure it's like a fire that burns even hotter than regular fire does, and it's like hashut and all that.
Yeah, it's like Hashut blessed or something. So it's got some weird
Mm.
dark magic abilities and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, and the Chaos Dwarves, despite being like, magical beings, they are still to have some resistance to magic like the regular dwarves, but they are way more resistant to fire than any other race on the planet, aside from, like, say, an elemental of some kind, let's say.
Sure, sure. Which they also
Hmm.
have, don't they? They like have that as a force or a unit.
Correct. That's called over here the Kadai Fireborn here. Which these guys are warp entities or creatures that the Chaos Dwarves manage to trap through a ritual and put into these pieces of metal armor just to keep as like shock troops in their army.
Ah, so it's the same thing as they got going on with the Hell Cannon then. But these guys
Hmm.
don't actually go about and just slaughter everything in sight. They actually can be like
Uh,
commanded.
kind of. It's a bit of a loose thing, really.
Oh, okay. This is like
Yeah.
again, we're going like 40K here, but it's kind of like the what is it? The Death Company, I think these guys are called, where it's like, yeah, just drop them in the center and just have them go hog wild.
Possibly, yeah. But I'm sure like there's some ways, because again, these are dwarves after all. I'm sure they think about every little detail meticulously about things. So I'm sure there's like some way to be like, hey, you attack those guys, not us. You can kill a few slaves here. We don't give a shit about them, but not us.
Sure, sure. Or just
Probably
being
like
like,
the
oh, we'll have a sorcerer in the like these are warp entities at the end of the day, being like, hey, if you fuck up and you kill enough of our guys, we're just gonna have our sorcerer here just send you guys right back.
actually no, they won't be sent back to the orc. That's what these guys want. They want to be freed from these pieces of metal prisons, really.
Oh, this is worse than being in the warp. Oh.
Oh yeah, that's where they're from. They actually like being chaos demons, being like, I'm gonna pop in, do this, then pop back out. Bye.
Oh, okay. I thought the warp would be like crappy for them or something, and that this would be like not optimal, but better.
It's like taking a bloodletter away from the domain of corn and constant battle and be like, all right, this is your new place here. Enjoy your stay forever.
Fair enough. I guess yeah. I thought it would go hand in hand with whatever the demon would want. Being like, if you put a demon of Zeech in here, being like, oh, of course he's gonna be pissed off. He's a demon of Zeech. He's not for this. He's not built for this.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it is just a thing of they'll find a way. No matter what, these guys will find a way to make things work to their will.
Remember, these are chaos dwarves. Anything that exists, really, they try their best to enslave and see like how results vary.
Okay. Well, and they're not like yeah, so with the thing of the again, going back to the Druki, like where the Druki are have their beast masters and everything and being like, yeah, I'll just torture this dragon till it listens to me. These guys are just like, I'll use just some type of, brutal cunning to put this demon in a goddamn Gundam and launch it into battle.
Well, yeah, and like I said, the biggest difference that I see with Chaos Dwarves versus Druki is that Chaos Dwarves are all about efficiency and results, whereas with the Druki, they may torture and slave stuff for their own sick pleasure and for battle uses here and there. The
Sure.
Chaos Dwarves, like, nah, just send them in, we'll see how they do, and that's it. Don't care if they live or die, as long as it gets the job done.
Yeah, that makes sense because these guys also aren't really one for like government corrupting and keeping other people alive. I'm guessing it's just like, yeah, I just care about myself.
Well, yeah, and plus, remember, like they dealt with so much hardship that they didn't really care about anyone else but like their own preservation of their own race as best they can.
Ah, okay. Makes sense. Oh, you say that. Meanwhile, it's like, get in there with that. Put on this mask. Get out there. We're
Yeah,
already low
like
on
if you,
numbers. If you do well
like if
enough,
you
you can come back.
like if you were enslaved by the Druki, you might be intentionally kept alive in order to be like, I don't know, whatever sick thing you can think about for their own sick pleasure, right? If you're enslaved by
Sure.
the Chaos Dwarves, it's like, we'll see how long you last with like the most minimal food and water we can give you while doing the most backbreaking labor, probably being like as close to scorching like fires that'll pretty much burn you to a crisp. Hope you survive. If not, yeah, we'll just find another.
Yeah, and when you do die, inevitably, we'll just throw you into the furnace.
Or feed your corpse to the bull centaurs.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, forgot about that. They don't cannibalize, do they?
The Chaos Dwarves? I
Yeah.
doubt it really.
Oh, okay. Well, I meant more the bull centaurs, but yeah.
I mean, maybe, but I doubt they would because they're remember it's all about like servants of Hashud and all that. I
They're
really don't
still
know about that,
dwarfs.
so I can't answer.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna hope not.
Eh,
I'm gonna hope this is the one time that they aren't cannibalizing each other.
who knows? I doubt it. But the thing about the Bull Center is that they are extremely loyal, so I doubt they would touch like a regular Chaos Dwarf when they fucked up. But they will definitely not touch any Demon Smith or Sorcerer Prophet of some kind because those guys have direct links to Hashut.
Okay, okay. And
Like the
these
best that bull
guys,
centaurs can be is like shock troops on battle or being like bodyguards of temples or of like specific sorcerer named sorcerers here and there.
right? Okay.
hmm Then you have going back to Kadai, you have Kadai Fireborn. Imagine like a fire elemental, like in other fantasy settings. Then you have the Kadai Destroyer, a big ass mechanical bull of some kind with with a even greater warp entity trapped inside of it.
Right. So this might actually be like a bloodthirster that just gets thrown into this thing and just be like, pilot the machine.
Yeah, potentially, but this is a big ass mechanical bull. Like yeah, you've seen it in game before, right?
Yeah, it's like the size of the Saurian, the Dread Saurian. Basically, it's monstrous.
Pretty much, yeah.
So yeah, that's well. This thing doesn't even have a model in on the tabletop. I don't think. I think it's only exclusive to the game.
Yeah, like there was an unofficial thing done through like Forge World, kind of an offshoot of Games Workshop there, but it was like not 100% canon, unfortunately,
Right.
until it
Right.
came to this here.
This thing, on the other hand, I mean, this thing looks awesome.
Oh yeah,
Big,
totally. I was so glad that that unit came into the game. You have no idea.
weird ass metal gorilla bull monster thing. Okay, so
So
oh,
So
sorry.
we're
Go ahead.
talking about units and all of that. I think you also want to get back to relations, so like with other races, right? So we
I
know that the
did,
Chaos Dwarves,
yes.
like they pretty much hate anyone that they deem less themselves, which is everyone else. But they know that this is a harsh, cruel world, and therefore they
Yeah,
do trade with other people. Like when it comes to like Chaos War bands or things, they might do either they kill them or they leave them alone, or sometimes they trade with them because they might be a bit useful here and there. They still think themselves superior, but they gotta do something to survive, right?
so they look at it being like, is it more to our benefit to take you as slaves, or is it more for our benefit to take you as, to trade with you? Which one is
Pretty
more
much.
optimal for us in our current circumstance?
Yeah, pretty much. So, for example, like they actually are the main manufacturer of hell cannons in all those chaos armies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like, because whenever you have a hell cannon in any chaos army, it's always chaos dwarves that are operating that thing, because the other guys don't know what the hell to do with it.
Well, yeah, so Archeon is just like, I need you to go and collect 12 blood letters and throw them into a cannon. Use them as a battery.
I mean,
And these
Archaea might
dudes just,
help with that, or just offer something in return, like a bunch of slaves or materials, whatever. Just
yeah,
whatever, like the
so
chaos dwarves want in exchange for some hell cannons.
it wouldn't be enough for these dudes to be like, oh, well, what are we fighting for? Oh, you're making these for the sake of Chaos's supremacy. It's like, oh, that's great. We want money or like something that provides for a shoot.
It's and the chaos dwarves they won't say this out loud to the Archaon because they still want to deal, but they're thinking like, well, yeah, our guy's better than yours, but it's better probably to deal with you than to fight you because we got other shit to deal with.
Sure, sure. So it's like, oh, okay, other Chaos Dwarfs have a commission for some Hell Cannons? Yeah, we'll give them for like 300 apiece. Oh, like random Archeon or some random Chaos Warband wants some Hell Cannons? That'll be 1,500 apiece.
Yeah, possibly like whatever the deal could be. Like either you
Right.
get some gold back from us that you got from raiding, or perhaps some like I don't know ogres that you guys got that give us as slaves, yada yada, whatever the terms are in the contract.
Again, it's that thing that they have in the actual Total War, where it's like, oh, send an envoy. We'll trade you some scrap metal for some gold or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. Like the convoys. Yeah, exactly. Like the cafe caravans, just for evil side.
Yeah. Evil caravans. Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, so then what was it going? Oh yeah, other relations. So that makes sense for the chaos side because they are like similar enough, and all that. Then you're probably wondering like, how the hell did they get along with the ogres? Well, the ogres are probably the most neutral race in the entire world.
Yes.
Like they will make deals with anyone that they can, really. The thing about
Yeah.
the ogres, we'll get to them in their own videos, that the ogres, they have their own slaves being called the Noblars, which is like a
Yeah.
sub goblin species, like maybe a little bit bigger than goblins, not as big as hobgoblins. Their distinguishing feature is like their big nose.
Big ass schnoz cousin of gobos.
So the Chaos Dwarves, like they realize that some ogres, they may be good as slaves if like they are a bit rowdy, but other ogres are at least civilized enough to do some sort of trade here and there. Like Chaos Dwarves may give them like some metal or some armaments in exchange for, I don't know, like food or slaves. Again.
Right.
In fact, like there are like the iron guts that the regular ogres have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's some speculation that there are some ogres in the world that are like clad in blackened Chaos Dwarf armor from head to toe.
Oh, because now I think about it, they're on one of those big mortar things, aren't they? That the Chaos Dwarfs, they're on one of the Chaos Dwarf mortars, those guys.
Good talk about that there, because that then leads us to, if I can find a picture for it. Do I not have it?
Yes, I am.
Okay, give me a second. That leads us to what's called the Drakequake Mortar, which is actually probably the best artillery piece, or second best, depending on who you're asking, in the Chaos Dwarf roster. It is such a big ass mortar
Oh my
that
God.
the shells required for it have to be loaded by an ogre of all things, while other Chaos Dwarves manage, and operate the machinery for it. And this thing is so freaking devastating when it hits. It's said to make any city walls smash with just one hit and cause the entire ground to shake like an earthquake too.
That poor dude, that poor ogre slave, just doing that for the rest of his life.
But yeah, because he's the only one strong enough to really put those damn shells in there.
Yeah, and God forbid he say no.
Well, yeah. And it's be like, okay, well that's it. No more 11Z's time for you, big guy.
Oh, 11Z's, dude. I'm like, he's getting like keel hauled under that rig or something, dude.
Like that guy will be punished if he refuses. Absolutely.
He's in for a rough time, yeah. He's gotta be punished regardless. Shit.
Yeah, obviously.
What
Because
a
the
rough
whole point
time.
about, like I said, again, this is probably being a dead horse. With Druki slavery, it's all about pleasure, torture, with some use here and there. With Dwarves, it's like, we are going to use you until you die, and that's it.
I must break you.
Mm-hmm.
Ivan Drago.
Yeah, so this is probably like their biggest and best piece of artillery. Then going on to another one we have here, we have this being the magma cannon over here. The magma
yes,
cannon
I
is
know
pretty
this
much like
one.
the dwarven version of what was it called? The flamethrower cannon, whatever it was.
Yeah, the
Unfortunately, I'm
flame
forgetting
cannon.
the name.
Yeah.
The flame cannon. Thank you. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Probably a little bit hotter because it's Chaos Dwarves, magma and all that. But it's like the equivalent to that one there. Then coming up later, you then have this here, not the best picture I can find, called the Death Streaker rocket battery.
What the fuck is that?
It's literally like a rocket launcher that Chaos Dwarves have that packs a bigger punch than the Empire Hellstorm rocket battery.
The front of this thing looks like the battering ram from Lord of the Rings. What the fuck?
Okay, this is probably a bigger picture with the rocket batteries, perhaps.
Oh, okay. All right, that's a bit. Well, I mean, it's old art, but so they literally just have big ass rocket launchers.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, they do.
Okay.
They absolutely do.
And this isn't well. All right, but relevant to these photos you're sending me, I gotta ask because obviously these dudes have sort of aesthetic similar to. I don't know. I mean, they even got like the bull god thing going on about them. That it's I forget like the name of like this culture or whatever.
Babylon, Mesopotamians.
Yeah, sort of Mesopotamian style, like thrown in with like Mesopotamian, and then they got the big ass hats. Is that actually like relevant to anything, or is that just a meme for the DWARFS?
I'm sure that must have been an origin for that, because as you know, like all, if not most, if not all, the races in Warhammer have some sort of like historical, cultural like background to it. Like Lizardmen being like Aztecs and Mayans, Empire being Holy Roman Empire, Bretonians being French, yada yada, and all that.
Yeah.
These guys like obviously had a big background when it comes to like Mesopotamia and Babylon, with of course like braided beards, big ass hats, ziggurats, and pyramids here and there, along with a caste system where the priests, the religious people, were at the tippity top, not a king or something like that.
Yeah, and the priest is literally just doing crazy sacrifices to the gods just for the sake of advancement and yeah. Okay.
Advancement, especially when it comes to bowls as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Hmm.
the hat thing is just like, yeah, why not? Just throw it in there. But
Hmm.
whether or not it's a meme, whether or not it plays an actual major relevancy, because I know it's a thing of like, oh, the dwarves have a thing with their beard being like, you can tell how prominent this guy is. Being like, is the bigger the hat, like the more prominent the guy?
Yeah, in fact, give me a second here. There, because remember, the Chaos Dwarfs, they actually did work. They were a thing in the '90s before they got reworked and revamped, where they were like way more silly. There was like one Chaos Dwarf character where he had a hat, right, that had a little statue of himself on it. Because he's like so obsessed with himself. And then that little statue had a mini statue of the statue there. Then the mini statue had a mini statue of that, and it keeps on going. The whole point is that it goes on forever and ever into like
Oh
the
my
microverse.
god. Oh my
Yeah.
god. That's
Hmm.
amazing.
Right. So another unit I want to go. We'll take a break from the artillery for a minute. One that's not in the game but is in their roster is this thing here, called a Chaos Siege Giant.
What the fuck is that?
Because remember, the Chaos Dwarves love enslaving stuff, and the ogres also love enslaving giants. So you could figure like a trade could happen, or they capture a giant. In which what they do is that they then like literally nail these pieces of metal and armor onto this giant, cut off its arms, give these giant like almost scythe-like things on them there, with
I was about to
runes of
say.
pain and vulnerability, so that way it constantly feels pain and anguish on it. And the whole point is that those things are used so that way it could latch onto walls and break them down to be like
So
a giant
they
wall breaker.
so they just took a giant and just turned it into Gigan.
Yeah, kind of there without the giant bloodsuck, but in constant pain too. Oh yeah, another thing as well. If a giant was say trying to like smash a wall, but it gets shot or just dies, it can then keel over and like sort of slump onto the wall, to which then its back becomes like a makeshift ladder for Chaos Dwarfs to use in order to infiltrate the walls.
So they literally just have this like ladder like hooked into this thing's back that it's like, even if it dies against the wall, we can still invade.
Well, yeah, remember these guys are super efficient. Where it's like, okay, if this thing dies or blows up, can we still use its corpse somehow?
Oh, well, see, there you go. There's the new magical ass ladders. They can explain it now in Total War.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. What the fuck? He's got a big ass mug.
I don't know what the hell that's supposed to be, but you can see like the dwarf like just trying to nail it to this guy while he's still alive.
Oh god. Okay. Are these like chaos corrupted giants or are these just standard dudes?
Either or, I think honestly.
Either
Either
or,
way,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
it's hard to tell honestly.
I'm assuming that's just grog or something like in the bucket, in the barrel. I'm assuming, but you know.
I mean, these are chaos dwarves, so I bet they get the giants the bare minimum, really.
Yeah, it's probably pond scum grog to just be like something to entice him and, borderline numb the pain. Well, until I put a rune of suffering in this guy's back. Oh,
Yeah, pretty
God.
much. Yeah.
God, the more I learn about these dudes, the more I'm like, oh, I feel bad playing as them. Because, god damn.
Well, that's brutal industrialism for you there.
Oh, dude, this is Oh, I didn't know they got an actual mini. Oh, wow.
The
That
chaos
is
CJ,
very
yeah, they
cool.
did. They did.
Oh, that looks like it might be Blood Bowl, actually. A Blood Bowl model. I'm not sure.
That picture? No, it's
Yeah.
actually it's like a regular chaos giant, just probably like kit bashed into that one there.
Oh, I see. That is very cool, though. I do really like
Hmm.
that. That's
Yeah,
baller.
it's unfortunate that unit did not get into the game, but I would rather have the Kadai Destroyer over yet another giant unit, to be honest.
Oh god, yeah, another giant. Well, and especially when you describe it as like this is a siege unit. Like, what would be funny
Well,
would be like just have these guys act as like instead of creating like the towers, like the siege towers, just have it spawn in these dudes and have them like get to the
oh
wall.
god, oh jeez, that could be hilarious. But it'd still be
That'd be
pretty awesome to
amazing.
see like a giant still with a big ass club having like these scythe like arms, just trying to like wail at enemy lines, kind of like using a scythe on some grain.
Oh god, yeah. That'd be baller. Oh god, these are
Mm-hmm.
really cool. I am very sad that these aren't. I'm sure there's a mod for them, but yeah, that is very cool.
Yeah.
God.
All right, next unit coming up here, we have this here, which you've probably seen before, the Iron Demon.
Yeah, I saw this thing and I never bothered to use it because, well, why would you? It's like, let's see, I got the choice between Thomas the Train and the goddamn Quake Mortar.
Yeah, but these guys are pretty useful as well, because again, these are like mini trains, really, with, of course, demons trapped in it, because why the hell not? They're
Naturally.
used, yeah, they're used almost like semi-chariots, semi-battering rams, and little mini cannons as well, depending on the model. Just to like run over, Choo-Choo Charles or Thomas the Tank Engine their way into crowds of enemies and just like, turn into red paint.
Yeah, okay.
But you also have this model here called the Skullcracker model here, I think. Which just involves like big ass
What the
blades,
fuck?
pickaxes, and other stuff just to like ram right into enemy lines and chaff.
Oh my god. Okay, so just a big ass lawnmower blade at the end of this thing.
Mm-hmm. I think even like our good friend of ours said it's literally like Chainsaw Man turned into a battering ram.
Yeah, this puts like the Doom wheel and just makes it completely vanilla. There's like 15 spikes on the end of every tire.
Well, yeah, because it's like the chariots of old with like those sides on the end in order to like cut people's legs off or whatever. Think of it
Yeah,
like
again,
that, just
very
up to
Babylonian.
the 11th degree. Yeah.
Oh my god. What is
Persian
that big
too, yeah.
ass like thing on top? Is that it's two pickaxes.
Yeah.
Wait, is
so
this
they're
a
like
mining machine? Do they use this in standard industrialists? And then every now and then they're like, well, we could also use it for like killing Skaven.
Honestly, I would not doubt that because remember, Chaos Dwarves are efficiency to the 11th degree, so possibly.
I can't, like, you're just some dude. So you're a Skaven slave. You're already in charge of, like, digging through tunnels with your bare hands. And then all of a sudden, like, one of these fuckers just comes through the other side of the wall. Oh my god.
Yep.
These are awesome. These models are awesome.
You know what else is awesome about these Iron Demons? The thing about
No.
in game and also in lore especially, you can hook up other artillery behind them to have a real train filled with artillery in the back of it. Like, for example, you can take the Iron Demon, you can hook up, say, a magma cannon behind it because it's on wheels, or a Death Trigger's rocket gun. Or in game, put a big-ass Drakequake mortar behind it so it has more mobility.
Okay. So literally just form a train of just, like, whatever madness you need to bring forward.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the game doesn't allow more than one, but just imagine on tabletop, it's like, okay, I'm going to have this Iron Demon, then have all the different artillery lined up, cart by cart, just to form this massive fuck you artillery piece.
Yeah, the leading train, and then behind it are 12 Dreadquake mortars. God help us.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be fireworks. It's going to be more 4th of July today.
Well, just being like, here comes a fresh convoy. There goes another town.
More like 2 towns, really, but yeah.
Honestly, a whole kingdom gone. What do you mean a whole kingdom disappeared overnight?
Sheer
Lord, they had
sundering
15
firepower.
trains. Yeah, my lord, the trains were screaming. God almighty. So I did want to ask about these dudes as well, because I do want to know a little bit about like some of their legendary lords of like Total War and like just some of their leaders.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that in a second. There's 2 more units I almost forgot about here. 2 that I
please
think you've
do.
seen before, specifically like the the Taurus, for example.
Bale Taurus.
So
Is this the laughing cow?
Yeah, so there is like the Great Taurus. Now it's unclear like whether these were native animals to the region or if they were like, animals that were mutated based on Hashut. The whole point is that they are creatures of Hashut that the Chaos Dwarves use as like either beasts of war or as mounts for them to fly on, being like these raging bulls of pure like fire and hatred. Like I'm serious,
Right.
where it's like if you try to go to near a bull Taurus, its skin is so hot that if you touch it, it could like burn your skin. Similar to kind of like how hot, say, a Titan is on Attack on Titan, with like how much body temperature it has.
So sorry, which one was this? Was this the one that was like, spoiler alert, because I know that one of them is like a dwarf that's been mutated. This one is just like the standard big red cow, right?
Yes. I'm just trying to find a picture of it. Just give me a second.
Yeah, okay.
Now, when it comes to a Bale Taurus, they're even bigger and beefier, even have like some armor that's put on them. as
Well,
well.
that I think is an Age of Sigmar model. That's awesome.
Possibly,
oh my
yeah.
God.
Absolutely. Now we get to probably the last unit that I can recall. If I missed something, go ahead and leave it in the comments and flame me, not Scholar Mitch here. The last one that we know about is probably the weirdest and the strangest one of all, being the Chaos Dwarf Lamasu.
Yeah, this was one that this is just a dude, isn't it? This is just a dude that got a shitty hand. Like,
It's possible. We have no idea where the hell these guys come from, but
what
they
the
are like
fuck
kind
is
of
that
half
little
bull.
model?
Yeah, I know it's really bad, but
oh, God, that needs an update.
but yeah,
Oh,
it's updated now. You saw how they look in the game. They look way cooler and more menacing.
well, yes, okay, the game, yes, but I want them to update the mini because the mini recently, Chaos Dwarfs actually got re-released into Age of Sigmar. So I'm like, please.
Oh, nice. Okay. So the thing about the Lamasu, we have no idea where the hell they came from. It's probably like another mutation thing of Hashut. But the thing about these guys in particular is that they are creatures. They don't really breathe like air, really. They actually like breathe and use magic. They are creatures of pure dark magic.
What?
It's really odd. And they are also malevolent and very mischievous, where they are smart enough to know it's like, I'm not gonna go rushing into the front lines and get like shot at first like a Bale Taurus. I'm gonna probably sneak around the back, maybe cast a few bounce spells or whatever, and try to like pick off people from the back.
Okay, so these guys are more sentient and like human level of intelligence. Are they?
Yeah, I doubt they talk, but they definitely have way more cunning intelligence than regular Bale Taurus. Like, just rush in and skewer with my horns whenever I can.
And these guys just join the DWARFS ZHARR for the hell of it, or?
Well, they're probably linked in because they are creatures of Hashut. I'm sure there's no doubt about that.
Sure. Okay. So just because they're an animal of Hashut, just being like, yeah, I'll join you guys, all good.
Yeah, and like I said, it like lives and breathes the very stuff of sorcery because it's like the power of magic itself that it has.
Right. Okay.
Mhm. And like it even says, they rarely seek battle to enter battle themselves, or at the very least, not the first resort. And they try to convince like other beasts or other things to do the dirty work for themselves.
So these guys are kind of like, we don't really know enough about them to know why they would even be just being like, it's kind of just the chaos thing of, oh, there's enough dark energy forming. Let me get in on this action.
Yeah, pretty much. And they're probably like cunning, malevolent stuff that the Chaos Dwarves, revere because it's like, oh, a creature of a great Hashut. And they probably treat very well, like say we may treat horses or other like, beasts that we keep in better cages than say a slave, for example. Or better spaces, let's say, more open and free roaming and all that.
Right. So these dudes, okay, because at first I thought that these were dwarfs that got mutated or something, to be honest. So
it's possible. We just have no idea, no confirmation, unlike say the bull centaurs.
oh, there's really no idea of anything regarding these guys. They're just there. Okay.
Yeah. It's possible that maybe Hashut himself like forged this thing or took some Chaos Dwarves and just mutated them because, I don't know, he didn't like them that much but saw them useful. It's really unclear.
Well, yeah, these guys, I mean, I knew they were like dark magic and all this. Like, I mean, they have it as like a stat of being like magical abilities or something like that. So, yeah, okay. These are just weird, ominous monstrosities that are like lesser deities of the chaos gods, I guess. I don't know.
Well, not deities, but they are just like, like a direct correlation to Hashut, kind of like how the Bale Taurus also is, bull and all that. It's a bit weaker than the Bale Taurus, but it's definitely more smarter, cunning, and conniving.
Right. Okay. The idea of just going and just being like, it's just going across the mountains and this thing just pops up.
Yeah, and some of these things also serve as mounts for like Chaos Dwarf Lords or especially sorcerers.
Oh, what? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this thing will just like randomly come down from the mountain and then it's like Harry Potter and the Hippogriff just being like, ah, yes, I am your mount now.
Okay. Possibly, or because it's like, oh, we're gonna go torture some people in a battle. All right, I'm in.
I'm in with you, guy. God damn it, I'm in.
Yeah, like I mentioned the Chaos Dwarves do not torture as much as the Drew Keep, but the Lamasu might be able to do that by like say using its magical abilities just to make people writhe in pain or burning or whatever needs to be done.
That's awful.
Because remember, it's like all about breathing. And it's like its essence is almost a dark magic of some kind. The Chaos Dwarves can handle that because they're still pretty resistant to magic in general. I doubt that the enemies can unless they themselves are dwarves, let's say.
Like, because these guys worship Hashut being like, yeah, I can handle being around this thing. This bearded cow.
Yeah, it's probably like some sort of magical connection it has with the Chaos Dwarves being like, I am a thing of Hashut, so are you. So why should we fight each other?
We're vibing.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's very weird. Like, even, like, that's I can't think of anything else that exists like that. You know what I mean? Like, every other mount in Warhammer, there's either, like, some kind of connection through camaraderie or fear or something. Not
I mean, you
just,
can.
yeah, I'm in.
I mean, you can argue this is a companionship just to wreak havoc and enslave things and all that.
Yeah.
Coworkers, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, everything else in Warhammer is like, it's either Druki torturing black dragons to their will, dragons having like a connection and a familiarity with their elven comrades.
Mm-hmm.
Even Call of Franz like raise Deathclaw from an egg. This
Mm-hmm.
thing just shows up and is like, "Hey, I'm your new ride." Okay.
Well, again, like I don't know enough about it to be honest with you, so it's possible that they may have a deeper connection depending on the Chaos Dwarf to Lammasu and all that. Yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
sure. But I don't see the Chaos Dwarfs particularly being like, "Ah, yes, an animal handler." Natural
some of them
animal
could.
handlers.
And some of them could, because remember, they love enslaving anything. I'm sure they have like some beast of burden here and there that they whip in order to like, perform or like move rocks from a quarry or whatever.
All right, man, cow, you're mine.
Well, not bull centaur. It's got to be something different. Those guys are
Okay.
still revered in Chaos Dwarf society.
Sure, sure.
Oh, but if it's like a beastman, possibly. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm in this fucking thing. You're mine now. Whatever you are.
All right, I think that's like majority of the Chaos Dwarf roster that I could think about, really, unless I'm missing something. But yeah, it's like usual, slave chaff and fodder in the front, then with like Chaos Dwarf front line and kind of like in the middle there, and then either having like humongous, gigantic beasts of magic or kick-ass artillery in the back.
Yeah. Okay. That's just, yeah. Wow. Okay.
Try to top that one, Dwarves. We actually have magic and gigantic monsters. What the hell do you have?
Yeah, and even more crazy artillery. We also
And it's
got
like,
this
oh,
derp man cow.
yeah, and it's like, oh, you got a blimp and some helicopters. Pfft, we have giant fucking cows with wings that breathe fire.
We also have a Geigen giant. So, I mean, I don't know. Can you...
Yeah.
Yeah, God forbid. It's like if the one group that I look at, it's like if these guys actually were able to increase their numbers and, weren't just throwing each other into flaming barrages. By God. How is
Yeah.
this a lesser deity?
I don't know. I really don't know. And
Yeah.
also, one more mini story before we get to the characters that you requested. So going back to
yes.
the ogres, there's actually one particular ogre character. He's not in game at the moment. I hope he does one day. His name is called Gark Ironskin, specifically here. And once I give you the model from him, I'm sure you'll see what his shtick is. So Gark Ironskin is the leader, the chieftain, or the tyrant, really, of the Ironskin tribe. So, like, with ogres and all that, they are obsessed, especially when it comes to eating meat, right?
Right, yeah.
So, like, meat is their best resource. And then gold is, like, their second best resource after Greasus, like, told them all about that because they were kind of stupid to realize that in the first place. With the Ironskin tribe, they also revere metals, especially. Like, trying to be clad head to toe as much as they can, whatever metal. Iron, steel, copper, whatever.
Hence this guy's mini.
Yeah, hence this guy being clad head to toe in, like, dark iron metal. Because out of all the ogre tribes, being like some are like either neutral, they don't care about the Chaos Dwarves, they are aggressive to them. This guy and his tribe, they are probably the friendliest of any ogre tribe and have the best deals with the Chaos Dwarves. In return,
That's a real friendly looking dude.
Yeah, and in return, like in regards to either the ogres give them slaves or whatever resources, they get a crap ton of metal from the Chaos Dwarves and made by them in particular. So it's good.
Right, okay.
The thing about Gark Ironskin is that he had a humongous Rhinox. You've seen the Rhinox before, right?
That's what he's riding there now, isn't it? Like, that's his mount.
Yeah, that's his mount, a giant Rhinox. Unfortunately, There was like a Bretonnian crusade that was going on really far out there. And unfortunately, while Gark and his army won against the Bretonnians, they managed to like skewer his Rhinox with a bunch of lances and it died. And the Chaos Dwarves were actually good friends with our Gark Ironskin, surprisingly like showing a bit of friendship and companionship. So they rewarded him by giving him a mechanical freaking Rhinox with a demon trapped inside that he currently rides into battle, never getting tired.
Is that what he is riding in the mini here?
Yep, a mechanical damn Rhinox.
Okay, so they were like, So on top of everything else, they were just like, we can also just make you a Juggernaut clone, and yeah, that's yours now. Don't worry about it, because I'm assuming there's a demon in there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have no doubts about that. What the hell does not have a demon in Chaos Dwarf society?
Yeah, exactly. Most guns probably do. So yeah, okay. So yeah, so he's just a standard ogre that was like, here's a demon mechanical mount. Make sure you control it at all times, or it will kill you and all of your companions.
And he was like, "All right, bet. Thanks, man."
Yeah, and it worked for him amazingly. Huh.
Yeah. Like from what I read about his lore, which like I don't know too much about it, unfortunately, but I have not heard any issues he had with his current mount.
Huh. Because I would have thought it would have just been like 1 week later the mount ate him.
No, not really. I'm guessing because the ogres are like violent enough that it appeases kind of the demon trapped inside.
Sure. Well, I would have thought it would be the same with the. I guess I actually know, because ogres are all about like, yeah, let's keep expanding and going about, whereas like the Chaos Dwarfs would be like, you're getting in the damn cannon, and we'll bring you out when we need you. In the meantime, just chill out and hang out with us. And then there's just some bloodletter like.
And it's possible that the Chaos Dwarves like put some sort of runes in there that made it way it's very hard for the Ronix to betray his master in the first place. So there's like a thing
Sure.
like the equivalent, say, a runic shock color or whatever, which is probably what they do with their other units too.
Well, what they did with that poor giant being like, rune of pain ingrained in
Rune
your
of
skin.
Rune of suffering, of enslavement, of anguish.
Oh, God. Giants can't catch a break, bro.
Oh no, absolutely not. Like out of like other races, they are probably the one that had the shittiest hand dealt with them. Especially when we get to
about it.
And plus, you'll learn more about it when we get to the ogre's lore. Bet on that.
Oh, dude, well, because I already know, like, the thing of being, like, they're all, like, the way they are and because of inbreeding. So, they've already gone full, like, sloth from Goonies, and now, instead of getting adopted by Chunk, they're getting adopted by these fucking psychopaths. Oh.
Which is probably the worst of them, because at least with giants and, say, the Greenskin army, it's like the Greenskins fight to get their attention, and the giants get whatever the corpses are left as giant snacks.
Oh, God. Okay.
Again, like a giant in the Greenskin armor is probably the best life a giant could have, because, I mean, he's just expected to smash stuff, and he willingly does that. I mean,
Yeah.
you think an orc war boss is going to, like, talk smack to a giant, of all things?
Probably not.
Yeah.
So long as he's doing his job, I don't really care.
In fact, I mean, there's even a quote, like, in the game that's like, he drinks all our grog, he eats all our goblins, but that lug is handy in a fight.
Yeah, I've seen that quote. So yeah, and I guess at that point being like the worst thing for a giant would be like to literally just threaten being like, if you screw up again, I will trade you to the Chaos Dwarfs.
Yeah,
Oh.
probably. That's probably the worst fate. Like, the best ones are in a Greenskin army or, say, maybe in a Chaos War band. It may be mutated, but at least it's treated like, okay, go in, big guy, and you can eat whatever you get there.
Even Beastmen, like Beastmen giants.
Oh yeah, Beastmen do have giants. I forgot about that. Probably the same thing, too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be like the Beastmen would just be like, hey, go and fight like these other monsters because we think it's funny. But it's better than the goddamn rune of suffering being implanted in you and having your hands cut off to be used as a siege tower.
Yeah, and the second worst, again, Chaos Dwarfs, absolute worst. Second worst is being with the ogres, because the ogres do enslave giants.
Yeah. And they literally just use them for whatever.
Yeah, use them for whatever, or like even some ogre tyrants like challenge giants to arm wrestling contests, and the ogres usually win. Or at least half and half, it depends. But yeah, they make it a huge boast about that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why there are titles called Giant Breaker for ogres.
Oh, okay. Oh, God. Okay. Again, I don't like that.
And plus, like, you've seen the ogre models for them, where it's like they look a bit more like starved and anguished with that big ass mask on their faces too.
Oh, the big like chrome dome thing that they got going on top. Yeah.
Yeah, it was based on like an old model, like I think 6th edition or something, to emphasize the whole slave giant thing for the ogres.
Right. They got this big goofy diving helmet looking thing.
It's like, how the hell can they see it out of that? But whatever, it's Warhammer. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Again, you can't. We're not cutting the line of realism at giants with goofy ass helmets.
Yeah, obviously. All right, so now I guess we can go into the characters, to which there are like 3 big names, with some other ones here and there, but we'll discuss in regards to in the game there. So, is there
Sure.
any particular one you want to start off, or should we just go kind of in order of the guys there?
Well, they're all sort of relevant to one another, aren't they? Like,
Yeah, kind of. So
yeah.
let's start with the most important one, Astrogoth Ironhand. So the
Yeah.
shtick about him is that he is a sorcerer prophet of the Chaos Dwarfs, and he is currently the oldest one in the world, really. So he's the one with the
Now,
most experience, and the Chaos Dwarfs, besides being such a cruel and arrogant race, they still like respect and honor like the elderly and the experience of people like regular dwarves do.
now,
hmm
random question, but like, because you say he's the oldest, does that mean anything with a race as new as Chaos Dwarfs?
Yes, it does. Because, as you probably saw, he has a mechanical suit. Because, with him being so old and using magic, his like extremities, like some of his arms and especially his legs, are turned to stone.
Yeah, his whole bottom half is just done.
Yeah, pretty much. Which is why he then built a mechanical suit to be like, I can still do shit. So don't think about like sending me to the side. I'm still in charge, damn it.
Okay, makes perfect sense. He made himself one of those robot suits from Avatar. He was like, I'm
Yeah.
got this.
Again, like there is no de facto like singular leader of the Chaos Dwarfs, but Astrogoth is definitely like the one with the most influence. I would say the Council of Sorcerers, let's call it.
Like the Chaos Dwarfs in general, it's a good point. It'd be like they're not operating with a king, they're just operating with like, here's a bunch of sorcerer dudes who will just be basically their word is law.
Yeah, like he's the closest thing to say a consul, like equivalent to say the Roman Empire, the Roman Republic before it became an empire. Like his word has a lot more weight and meaning than others do. He could still be outvoted if he does something really stupid, I guess, quote unquote. But
Yeah.
he just like so experienced that like it's hard to argue with him.
Sure. Also, it's dwarfs, so I mean, they're gonna be stubborn as hell, anyways.
But they still revere the honored and the elderly because he actually has seen a lot of shit.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a given, I feel like, with these guys.
So that's Astrogoth there, and like I said, he's the oldest and the eldest, and you can see because like most of it, or like half his body, let's say, has been turned to stone, but he's still kicking and fighting and kicking ass. So okay, so
So he's literally
that's
just
him
killing guys
there.
with this Robo Gundam suit and just casting spells. He still insists on casting spells and just, yeah.
Okay, and then gets another character that's kind of in game, not playable, but you've probably seen it if you've seen like with Jar Grun. It's Gorth the Cruel, probably like the second eldest or second most important Chaos Dwarf sorcerer, like in the
Okay,
lore
so that's a
there.
real, like, character. That's not just a random guy that they, like, threw in there. Okay.
No, yeah, that's like an Easter egg for the lore guys, the lore fanatics in the game there. The thing
Oh,
about him is
cool.
that he is the direct master or the direct commander of Zatan the Black. Zatan the Black
Yes, that
is
dude.
yeah, Zatan the Black is not a sorcerer lord, but he is a really powerful and especially commanding warlord. Like a guy who
Right.
really knows how to handle stuff and how to command things. His shtick is like he is just a really good commander of his forces, and especially when it comes to raiding and capturing slaves.
So he's just the ultimate raider amongst, like,
Oh yeah.
the DWARFS ZHARR. Okay.
Oh yeah, totally.
But he doesn't have any, like, diplomatic power, per se.
Not really. It's just that he is probably the most useful when it comes to like raiding and capturing fresh slaves to help with the dwarven machine, the
Oh,
chaos dwarf machine of society.
he's the Malice Darkblade of Chaos Dwarfs.
Pretty much, yeah, I guess.
Right. Okay.
Except he doesn't have a demon inside of him.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. He
hmm
puts other demons into guns.
Well, not him. It's always the sorcerer lords and the demon smiths that do that. But he probably like helps out here and there with like making sure it goes well.
I
I
need
think.
some willpower. Get in there, you bastard.
Like he just stares at them and be like, I am a bloodthirster of corn. It's like, yeah, well, I can kick your fucking ass right now unless you get in there. Like,
Get in the goddamn gun.
get in the goddamn sheet of metal.
Get in the robot, Shinji.
Now we get to the third character. Again, like these guys don't have as much lore as others because Chaos Dwarfs are still like a relatively quote unquote new race in Warhammer and not as detailed. At least from what I know. I'm sure you guys can tell me in the comments, like if it is or not, compared to say the Empire or the Elves.
Well, and they're also kind of like, it's weird because they're slavers and traders, but they're also kind of stuck where they are. Like,
They can't really expand. They can't expand much because if they go at war with the dwarves, then it's pretty much utter annihilation for both races. And it's hard for them to go at war against the ogres because they don't have the numbers of slaves or chaos dwarves to face against all those damn ogres.
Yeah, and also it's better to have big ass allies than big ass enemies.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's a thing of literally like, well, yeah, it's like slavers, and ironic how their god is the god of slavery and all this stuff. Meanwhile, they're stuck in place, and the Druki are exploring every last continent of the world, except
Hmm.
where these guys are.
Yeah, in fact, you remember the map of the Darklands? You ever notice how there was like a really big river that was like the color of red or browny red of sorts? But here's like a little image right here that someone put together. So that, if I recall, is like it's called the River Ruin. It was actually like a usable river back in the time, like when it was called the Skull Land before it was called the Darkland. But it's like
Oh,
near the base of Zarnagrund there. The issue is that the Chaos Dwarves, being brutal industrious, they realize
don't
they
tell
have
me
like
this.
a bunch of pollution and chemicals that they use. So it's like, well, what should we do with it? Yeah, just dump it in the river.
Oh my god! So they pulled the Springfield. Oh my god! Oh, so they just turned this entire river into a toxic sludge base. Oh my
Oh,
god.
oh yeah, totally. It's pretty much like from the Simpsons movie where like Homer makes the place like, with the pig sludge and all that. Makes it
Yeah,
toxic
yeah.
as hell.
Oh my god. So yeah, that's exactly what these guys just do on like, oh my god. So hundreds of years of that has just turned this place into a toxin pit.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, have you
God, that's
seen like how
funny.
their cities and their factories look?
Oh, I mean, just giant. Well, I mean, their homeland is not that nice in the first place, so they're like, fuck it, just have these giant factories just emitting all manner of black demon chemicals.
Another thing that's interesting as well, if you look back into the map that I showed earlier of like the old world, so you know how there's like the little Sea of Chaos that's like north of Kislev or in
Yeah,
Norska, kind of like that
yeah,
little
yeah.
tip there. The Chaos Dwarves in game they actually have built a underground like tunnel of some kind that connects the River Ruin to that little sea up in the north there. That they use like little boats and other parts of their navy in order to like have trade that way there and have some form of
Oh,
trade.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they
And
just
in
dug. I thought, for some reason in my head, I was like, do not tell me that they're using this as a means of like poisoning the fucking Norskins.
I mean, they probably would if it's useful for them. Unfortunately, it's not because they have other things to kill before the Norskins, I'm guessing.
Well, yeah, they gotta make their way up there in the first place, so that's no picnic.
Now, again, don't quote me on this because I don't know if it's canon or not, but like the Chaos Dwarves do have their own kind of navy. It's not that big, to be honest, but it is like you know how the regular dwarf navy is like about ironclad ships and all that, metal and cannons and all that.
Yeah, I mean, they had, what is it, Barak Var or whatever it was, which was like sort of the trading port city of the dwarves.
Right. So the Chaos Dwarves do have their own version, like probably dark iron ships and all that. And they probably have like a okay, that's file exceeds the size. Give me a second here. Apparently, like it's I don't know if it's canon, don't quote me on this, or maybe it's from
Yeah,
like the tabletop naval thing. I forget what it's called, like Man of War or something, right?
or something that
Apparently
just
there's
got
a
changed, like,
no, apparently there's a Chaos Dwarf ship that looks like a giant fucking kraken.
what? Okay.
Yeah.
What in the world is that thing? Okay, I love how, okay, you know why? Because it's got the big ass hat.
I mean, it's supposed to be like a giant squid, really.
Yeah, it's a giant squid. It's funny because I know it's supposed to be a giant squid, but I feel like they were also like, well, it kind of looks like a Chaos Dwarf's head. Like if the beard was the tentacles.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Okay, so I pray to God that's real because that's so stupid. I love it. You're like, well, we have like barely any water around us. Let's create giant robot krakens. Why not? There's probably a demon in there.
In fact, if you look back at the map that I showed earlier with the River Ruin, you remember where Kugath Plaguefather starts? His start position is at?
Yeah.
Yeah, like in those little dragon isles down south of there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little blurb in his lore like why he's there. It claims that he spawned into the Dragon Isles because like that sea links up with the River Ruin, and he uses that toxic sludge as a way to like make new diseases or just to experiment.
Oh, he's just hanging out there making soup. Okay.
Yeah, he's like, add some toxic sludge. Let's just see what happens with this here.
Like, fuck, I thought this was alright. I thought I was bad. Making pestilence and things uninhabitable. These guys doing my job for me.
Yeah, it's almost like a catalyst being like, oh, not only do these people cough, but their faces are going to be malformed like sloth now. Awesome.
Yeah, they have now evolved into the Toxic Avenger. Wow, that's great. I love that.
All right, and now final character after that little tangent there is Drazwath the Ashen, who I would argue has a more lore than the last two characters we talked about here.
I've
So
heard
Drazwath,
this.
yeah, so Drazwath the Ashen, his whole shtick is that he is also a sorcerer prophet like Astrogoth, right? And he was actually like part of the council or like in Zarnagrund, being like a very prominent and very talented sorcerer. Now it's not explained; it's still kind of a mystery. But eventually, something happens where Astrogoth himself actually exiles Drazwath to go down south to the Black Fortress. Now, the Black Fortress is like the southernmost military outpost that the Kelsdorf have in order to like defend their territory against, say, ogres or greenskins down there. It's like close to
Right.
Pickbarter near the coast there. The
Right.
thing about the Black Fortress is like it's the main base where the Infernal Iron Guard are like usually there because that's where they get sent in order to like forced to join to become an Infernal Iron Guard that way.
So what you're telling me is that he effectively got sent to the wall, the Game of
Yeah.
Thrones wall.
Yeah, the equivalent of that, and he like became the organizer of that, and did such a good job that he is the Lord of the Black Fortress, and he has gained like the organization and the hearts of like the Infernal Iron Guard there for his own personal gain, really.
So DWARFS ZHARR Jon Snow is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I guess with more slavery too.
I say that sort of tongue in cheek, but I'm like, this sounds oddly familiar. Let's see. So no one knows why this dude actually got exiled. I thought there'd be something to be like more.
It's unclear. It's like sort of implied that Astrogoth got jealous of like how talented and how great this spiffy new young guy was, or that Drazwath was like a bit brazen and like got out of line for being like a youngster that he got exiled. It's unclear, but like those are some of the theories there.
Okay, so he was just grandpa being like, this youngin', and just, move out on your own.
He's gonna take my job.
You take my job. So it just sent him off, and what he thought was a demotion was actually him basically. Well, I mean, he went to the place where the Infernal Guard are, so I'm assuming now it's like he's just got an army of these guys.
Yeah, and because of that, like there's like no other sorcerer prophets or like very few. So Drazwath being at top doesn't have to deal with the bullshit politics of Zarna Grund like Astrogoth has to.
Oh, he just straight up is like, I own this place. Like,
pretty much. And he does such a good job
my own mini empire.
And he does such a good job at it that's hard to really argue with him, saying like you can't do that. It's like, well, what do you mean? Look at how much like efficiency I have. You can't argue against that, bitch.
So Drazwath got sent there, and then what's his name?
Astrogoth Ironhand. Like he was the reason why he got sent there because he exiled him himself.
So Astrogoth was like, perfect. He'll never be seen or heard from again, really. He'll just become this sort of, like, whatever, like, no one cares about. It's like, by the way, 5 months later. What the fuck?
Yeah.
What do you mean he runs the wall?
It's like the saying, like, you ever watch King of the Hill?
Yeah.
It's like what Hank Hill said. It's like, find a job that nobody wants to do and do it better.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
God damn it, Bobby. Yeah, then Bobby got sent to what was it, the Black Fortress?
Yeah, Black Fortress.
Bobby, one day you're gonna run the Black Fortress.
Thanks, Dad. Looks like I actually did a good job. I increased efficiency by 200%.
Oh, thanks, Dad. I'm getting sent down there. Efficiency has improved 200%. God damn it, Bobby.
That was not the damn point, Bobby.
That wasn't the damn point, Bobby. I didn't need you to increase the motivation of the other slavers in the Infernal Guard.
I mean, after all, we're supposed to be serving Hashut and Hashut accessories.
We're supposed to be making Hashut and Hashut-themed drills.
Yeah. Another thing about Drazwath is that he has a named mount, a Bale Taurus called Cinderbreath, which is probably like the biggest Bale Taurus in the Darklands. Apparently, I guess. And that thing is extremely loyal to Drazwath only. Is there a reason behind this, or just... Not that I can remember, unfortunately. I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick here, but unclear at the moment.
He's just got such big dick Hashut energy that this thing's like, yes, my liege.
Yeah, it just says with his trusted Mount Cinderbreath. So, from what I can tell, it doesn't really explain how he got his hands on that. He just did and was so good at it, really. So, yeah.
Right. Literally just, you are so Chad, I am yours and yours alone, my liege. Moo.
Yep.
Okay. That is pretty goated. I didn't realize Drazwath was like this much of a Chad.
Not only that, like I mentioned that he has more lore. That's just the base lore he has. Because another thing as well, you know the guy named Tamarkan?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The ogre Nurgle dude.
Yeah, Draswath actually takes place in Tamarkan's book called The Throne of Chaos. So if you go
Oh,
back to the
what?
map here, so we know that Tamarkan he starts in Zambai Jin with trying to get his conquest of the empire going. So he starts there, then he goes down through the Mountains of Morn. That's when he then encounters that ogre like Kraka Wallbreaker or whatever his name was. Then inhabits that body of the ogre tyrant. Then increases his forces. Like he gets some demons, he gets some Nurgle boys, some beastmen, and some plague ogres now. So
Okay.
then he then goes and be like, okay, this is pretty good, but if I'm going to face against the Empire, because he's going there to perform a ritual, do whatever he needs to do, right? He's like, I'm going to need a lot more firepower for this here. And he realizes, thanks to the help of like Sail the Faithless, yeah, Sail the Faithless is actually there. He got him on his side with the Dolgan tribe, and got mammoths. He realized, oh, the
Oh,
Chaos
that's gonna
Dwarfs are
go
near.
well.
Yeah, he said like, "Hey, boss, the Chaos Dwarfs are nearby there. You want to go have a talk with them?" He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do more than just talk with them," and cracks knuckles that way there. So then he goes to Drazot the Ashen's fortress there, and immediately like starts raiding and then fights his army there. Now the Chaos Dwarves were doing a really good job holding him off for a while with the Infernal Guard, excuse me. I don't know why I said Iron Guard. Yeah. Infernal Guard with the fire glaives shooting at them, throwing mortars and hail cannons or whatever. But there were just so many of Tamarkan's demonic and war bands that eventually they surrounded them entirely and cut off like half of them with like mammoths charging through them, ogres breaking the lines here and there. But eventually
Right.
it all stopped and Tamargan ordered them to back off. Because the whole point was to say like, hey, okay, I beat you there and I could have killed you, but I'm gonna let you live if you join my warband and bring me like armaments and other weapons to go to the Empire. And Drazoat said, fine, you did beat me fair and square, but when we go through, I do get some fair share of the loot, raids, and all that, right? And it's like Tamarkan's like, yeah, sure. All
Like
right, deal.
whatever, that's fine. What do I care? I'm a giant like plague ogre. Do what you gotta do.
And it's like, all right, deal. And that's how he gets Chaos Dwarves and their shit into his warband to then goes through the World Edge Mountain to get to Nuln.
To get the null. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, all the way to Nuln. Eventually, like Tamarkan's story ends, spoilers, at Nuln, where unfortunately the entire place of warband is stopped. To which then Drathrath and his band and his Chaos Dwarf buddy said, all right, well, this is not going well. I'm out of here. I'm going back.
Wait, how the fuck did how did that army get to Nuln? Like, did they didn't cut through the World's Edge mountains?
Probably in the southern part, because I don't think they mentioned that they went to any dwarf holds. So my thought is that when they finished going against Drazwat, they probably went pretty far south against a bunch of greenskins here and there, maybe through the border princes, and then to Nuln, like through the Blackfire Pass.
They just went through the Southlands basically and just get in there, boys.
Yeah, I think that's how it went there.
Okay. Well, that's okay. And so they got there, then they got cut off, and Drazoath just is like, well, that sucked and that was a waste of time, or
No, well, it wasn't a waste of time. He still got a ton of loot and rating material out of that there. But he said like,
oh.
okay, well, it looks like fun's over, boys. Let's go back with our new like loot.
Yeah, so really Drazoath actually got what he wanted, and Tamarkan was just forced to retreat with his tail between his legs, like Skeletor. I'll
Pretty
be
much.
back.
Well, actually, Tamarkan died, but yeah, that's important.
Oh, he gets killed there. Oh.
Yeah, he does. Spoiler alert there.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, okay. Tamarkan doesn't strike me as kind of like the thing of like he's in the game of like Total War, but really it's like again spoilers Azhag, where it's like technically the guy died like 300 years ago.
I think Tamarkan was pretty recent stuff. It was like year 2510 or something like that. So yeah, pretty recent.
Oh, okay. Because I know it's a similar thing with Azhag technically would have been dead during the time of the narrative.
Oh,
anyways,
yeah, totally.
yeah. Okay. So, okay. So basically, it was like just a W for the Chaos Dwarfs, just being like, sweet loot. It's like, yeah, well, we lost a bunch of guys. That's fine.
I mean, it's like you're forced to work for someone because he kind of beat your ass and said like, I could have killed you right then and there, but I'm gonna let you live because you are still useful to me. And if you join me, you will get like some fair share of the loot and other stuff. And he's like, okay, fine, whatever. Goes along with it. And it's like, oh, hey, my manager is dead. and I get to take his bonuses. Nice.
Big W. Oh, look, free real estate.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So real quick, with Drazorath being in the situation he is governing the Black Fortress, is that like a thing where it's like he has no obligation, but he also has no beneficiary in regards to like the council?
I would say, like, out of all the different Chaos Dwarf cities and outposts, he's definitely the most independent out of them, from what I've read about.
Right. Okay.
Because the whole shtick is that the Black Forest is like literally the southernmost border of the Chaos Dwarf Empire, and it's the place where the Infernal Guard are, aka the dishonorable guys, go in order to like fulfill either die in battle or to like regain their honor, which is a very slim chance, by the way.
Yeah. So the suicide missioners are sent there and just trained. Okay.
Yeah, it's literally the outcasts of Chaos Dwarf society.
Yeah. Like I said, the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, good sir, I guess that brings us like to a close when it comes to Chaos Dwarf lore stuff. There's like some stuff in the end times, but I don't really like that, so we're just sticking with regular stuff. Any questions or anything else you want to know about?
Well, I mean, the end time stuff we'll get around to when we cover the end times, but
Okay.
well, it's gotta get done someday.
Okay,
somehow.
well, okay. Well, you really want to know like a quick summary of what happened to them in the end times?
I don't, but go ahead. Like I feel. Let's get a quick summary. Everything that you just said is about to be ruined. That's why I don't want to hear it. But let's go for it.
Okay, fine. Then I won't. If we're gonna have our own end times thing, that's fine. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No.
Okay.
You will.
Okay. Well, it's
tell
really
me now.
like
I need to know.
it's really like a footnote from what I heard in the End Times book where it's briefly mentioned. But the whole shtick is like Grimgor matches a big ass wall, even teams up with Golgfag Maneater of all people, and just immediately kill all the Chaos Dwarfs. And they destroy their empire.
That actually doesn't offend me so much, to be honest, because, I mean, if Cathay gets eliminated off screen and it's Cathay, then sure, why not? Also, Grimgor, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Grimgor.
Yeah.
Dumb as it might be, but, you know, it's Grimgor, so it's kind of like a plot MacGuffin all in of itself by just being like, Grimgor was there. Oh, okay.
Well, I think it's also stated that Grimgor especially wanted to do that because he had such a hatred for the Chaos Dwarves, and like I think it was implied that he used to be enslaved by them back in the day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Rip Chaos. Well, I mean, they're back now. They're in Age of Sigmar, so as our standard dwarfs. So, you know, I guess a few of them survived. They found a way to come back to. Don't know how the Chaos Dwarfs work in Age of Sigmar. That might have to be its own thing somewhere down the line. Depends if it's interesting.
I'm not as knowledgeable. I'm not as knowledgeable when it comes to Age of Sigmar stuff, so that could be interesting to find out. Oh, one more interesting fact.
Yeah.
You remember Grimgor's bodyguard, the Immortals?
Yeah.
It turns out he got inspired of that because the Chaos Dwarves have their own Immortals in their society.
Right. They're not Infernal Guards, are they? They're something else.
No. They're more revered. That's an actuality. They are way more revered like that. Like actually being an elite bodyguard, just elite unit in Chaos Dwarf society. Kind of like the Immortals in our actual history with the Persians.
Right. Okay. So just big armored dudes.
Yeah, clad in black armor, and Grimmer was like, "Huh, they're actually pretty good to fight. Boys, do this."
Guys, I have an idea. Well, I mean, at some point, like, I'd love to look at to be fair, like, Age of Sigmar with me is like a coin toss, if the lore is going to be interesting or not. Like, I'm not huge on the Empire in Age of Sigmar, but I love the Druki. I think they're awesome.
Okay, I actually look at them in Age of Sigmar then.
Basically, it's like, just, rather than being pirates within the seas and going from place to place, they're just pirates that now exclusively raid chaos and just travel between realms on, like, fantasy starships.
Oh, so kind of like the Drukhari in 40k, the Dark Eldar?
Yeah, they're Drukhari that are now, like, anti-chaos.
Huh. So why specifically anti-chaos? I thought they would have a humongous like hatred for regular elves still in that timeline.
No, because okay, and end time stuff. The sundering of the elves basically came to an end where there was no longer like an eternal bloodshed and like rivalry. Like they don't like each other, but they work together.
Hang on. Yeah, I forgot. They actually teamed up because, Chaos was actually kicking people's ass. I forgot about that thing.
Yeah. So now it's a thing where they don't work together and are like, oh yeah, we're buddies now. And in fact, there's now a thing being like tensions are rising between the realms, between the light of Malarian and Tyrion and Teclis, but they were not at war anymore. They were actually allied with Sigmar.
I forgot about that thing with end times where it's like Malekith actually. Ugh, yeah, it's. I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest.
I
But
am
whatever.
impartial to it because I'm like, it makes some sense, but the way they went about it was way too rushed and way too out of the blue. I was like, what the hell?
Oh yeah, totally. That's why I said like I think Gringor got the best story out of anyone in the end times, really.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Mhm.
All right, well, I guess I'll take us home then, yes?
Yep, sounds good. Unless you have anything else you want to ask about these guys.
No, I think we covered, well, I mean, if anything comes up, I'll ask you somewhere down the line, but you covered a great deal. Thank you again so much for hosting this one. You did a great job. I was very, very brought up to speed with these dudes, and, oh boy, I didn't realize quite how, like, chaosy stuff got to the point of just making my skin crawl with some stuff. But they're also hella badass.
Mhm. Oh yeah, totally. They're really fun in the game as well, especially with how their economy works too.
They are. In that case, thank you again so much for hosting and doing this episode with me, man. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode. If you have any questions, do leave a comment. Me and Rad are always checking out to see what's going on with the community. If you have any ideas, let us know, because again, it does help us to have ideas, just being like what would be fun to cover, and gives us something new to look into. And yeah, please consider leaving a like, subscribing if you haven't. And until then, we will see you all in the next episode. Thank you all so much.
Bye.